praises and the glory to the Most High and His Son,
Yahweh,
Yahweh, Ba'ashem,
Yahushai,
Ba'ashem, Rakah HaKodash. And double honors to the apostles of the great millstone, the heads that taught us what we know today. And as well as giving salutations to all of the Akim that's falling in the street. And Lord willing, you can hear my voice with all of this city music in the background. So we're gonna get into the book of Romans. What is it? 10 and 15. It's gonna go into like 2 topics today. Lord willing, we're gonna finish the whole thing in this line. Go on, brother.
It's the book of Romans chapter 10, verse 15. And how shall they preach except they be sent? As it is written, how beautiful are the feet of them that preach the gospel of peace and bring glad tidings of good things.
Yeah, hold on. Real quick. Yeah, because I gave you the wrong precepts. What I want you to get me the book of, okay, I'll tell you what. Read Psalm 73. Read that.
Yeah. Psalm 73 and 22. So foolish was I, and ignorant I was as a beast before thee.
Proverbs 1. Proverbs 1, and you know the scripture that says, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of life.
I'll read it again, yeah? Psalm 73 and 22 says, so foolish was I, and ignorant I was as a beast before thee.
God. So David is basically saying that right before he came into the knowledge, he was nothing more than the fool. Just like the rest of us were. Before we came into the knowledge, we didn't know shit. We didn't know anything. We were just like the average person doing as they may, living accordingly to their flesh and their ideas as beasts. You know, you're just doing what you want to do. You just do like the saying goes, do you. We're no longer doing that anymore. We're doing what's required of the Heavenly Father and His only begotten Son. Now we have a genuine purpose, all right, to follow, to uphold. So now let's go and let's get that too. Well, you just testing to see how to sound.
The name of God. This is the book of Proverbs chapter 1 verse 6. To understand the proverb and the interpretation, the words of the wise and their dark saying.
Right.
The fear of the Lord Yahweh is the beginning of knowledge.
Right. So when fools, go.
But fools despise wisdom and instruction.
Right. But fools despise wisdom and instruction. So what I want to really point out, right, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the title because the title is wrong. Okay, Lord willing, I'll see what I can do on that regard. But what I want to point out is the fact that this knowledge that we have is paramount. It's the most important thing that a man should have, an Israelite man to be exact, because when things are happening in the world, right, it may not even be a time of Jacob's trouble, but when things are happening in the world and you don't know why it's happening, you bug out. You get perplexed in the mind. You know, you start getting emotionally, unstable and everything. You start, like I said, bugging out. So if you have the knowledge of the Lord, if you repent back to the Lord and fear the Lord, of course, is what you're going to do, then guess what? You're going to have the knowledge of the times that you're living in, okay? Which is, like I said, paramount. So when things get even more worse than it's already gotten, you're going to know why that's happening as well. Because what you're going to find out is that there's certain things that's written in the scriptures, there's prophecies that are going to come to pass, which is a part of the counsel of the Lord, okay? Which the word counsel goes back to the word purposes or plans of the Lord. So there lies the plans of the Lord in the scriptures. So if you read the Bible, you see all of these things. So when certain things happen, you're going to expect it. You're not going to get moved, okay? So yeah, keep going, brother.
And it says in verse 8, my son, hear the instruction of thy father, and forsake not the law of thy mother.
Go on.
For there shall be an ornament of grace unto thy head,
Right.
and chains about thy neck.
Right. So with this knowledge, you get your grace with it. As well as it also reads that this knowledge is also making us wise into salvation as well. Okay? So this knowledge is everything. This knowledge you need so that you can know the signs of the times, and this knowledge you need for the sake of your salvation. Okay, so just to put it simply, but I want you to read that again because I didn't say it the way I wanted to say it.
Proverbs chapter 1, verse 7. The fear of the Lord Jehovah is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction.
Come.
My son, hear the instruction of thy father,
Right.
and forsake not the law of thy mother.
Right, so how do you hear the instructions of the Father? By listening to the prophets, the companionship of the holy men, which is presented your way. That's how you do it. So I tell you what, brother, you take over, and I'm going to try to re-edit the title of this thing.
Since we was back, let's get Proverbs. You get, hurry up, Proverbs 3 and 5.
That's exactly right.
Proverbs chapter 3 and 5 says, trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding.
Yeah, so lambacking of Proverbs 1, the fear of the Lord. To fear the Lord, we get into the word fear, it means to seek. All right? You know, yes, there's a level of healthy fear we have for the Lord, indeed. You know, a severe level of fear, being scared of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. But when you get into the word fear, it also means to seek after, man. So when it says here, trust in the Lord, that's really fearing the Lord. Because you can say, all right, I've got to fear the Lord, but then someone could say to you, well, how do I do that? Well, this is how you do it. Read it again, Bible Bishop.
Yeah. Proverbs chapter 3 and 5 again. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart and
All
lean.
your heart. That's paramount. With all your heart. Seek after Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. Seek after wisdom, man. Go on up.
And lean not unto thine own understanding.
Yeah. You can lean onto your own understanding. You know, in the flesh, something may look right. It may look the right thing to do. But spiritually, it's the wrong thing to do. And then you try and do it, and it doesn't work out. Why? Because we never trusted in the Lord.
And that's why it also reads in Proverbs 11. You can continue with that, brother, but I just want to mention this. That's why I mentioned in Proverbs 11, and I think it's verse 4, where it reads that whatso seemeth right to a man on the ways of death. You know, so I learned something new. I didn't even know that. So the word fear actually means to seek the Lord. But I mean, we can still use the term fear because you're going to seek him because you fear him. You fear the judgment that he's going to come. That's why it also says in the book of Psalms, chapter 2, it says, kiss the son lest he be angry. All right, so you have to show that he's significant and you're seeking for him so that he can protect you from the destruction. But I want to get back to the topic, though, and showing how paramount this knowledge is. Go on, brother.
Real quick one. Proverbs 11 and 20. They that are of froward heart are abomination to the Lord.
Yeah, go on.
But such are upright in their ways are his delight.
Right. His ways are the light. Because it pleases the Lord when man are doing or keeping his commandments. It tells you in the book of Ecclesiastes 12, I'm correct. In the last verse it says that the whole duty of man is to keep the commandments of the Lord. So once you keep the commandments of the Lord, all of these things bring what? A positive life-bringing vibration. So when death is present, you're not going to be put to death because you're under a different frequency. You're under the frequency of life, which really Yahweh shines that frequency. So it's for you to connect with him, okay? By doing what is said in the scriptures, as it is written, that he was the word incarnate. So now I want you to go back and read Proverbs 1.
This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 1, verse 7. And it reads, the fear of the Lord Yahweh, Hashem Yahushai, is the beginning of knowledge. But fools despise wisdom and instruction.
Fools despise wisdom and instruction. So with a fool, we know that according to the book of Sirach 33 and verse 2, I believe it is, where it says that the heart of the fool is as a cartwheel, all right, and it's as an axle tree, which is just another way of saying a fountain. So basically what that really means is that a fool just roams around in his own mind, okay, and people like that are led astray. So whenever there's a device or an evil wicked plan that the devil tries to concoct and use against these people, they're going to fall right in the midst of the trap. Why? Because they're foolish. Okay? They're foolish. So knowing the Lord or fearing the Lord you're gonna know about the traps and the snares and the nets that the devil puts in place. You're gonna know that it's there. So I want you to go also. Yeah, so now read this now. Psalm 73 and 22.
So back to Psalm 73 and 20. Reading on.
Yeah, hopefully you brothers can hear it, man. Because I know you got this music in the background.
Read 22 again, then I'll carry on reading. So foolish was I, and ignorant I was as a beast before thee.
Right, and the key what I want to focus on is beast. Because a beast only acts on instinct. A beast doesn't have discipline, knowledge, right? The car, see, I already said it the word, right? They don't have that. So that's how the majority of the population is. They're like beasts. So if you're a beast, if you're a beast-minded individual, guess what? Just like a beast does, they get caught and trapped in the snares. All right? And the ultimate trap and snares is going to be that implantable device, which we're going to get there real soon. All right? Yeah, so keep going if there's some more now.
Yeah. 23. Nevertheless, I am continually with thee. Thou hast holding my right hand.
Right.
Thou shalt guide me with thy counsel,
Uh-huh.
and afterward receive me to glory.
Right, and you shall guide me through thy counsels. Another key word. What does the word counsel mean? Purposes, advice, plans. These are from the Lord. So the Lord is showing us his counsel in the Bible. Doesn't it also say in the New Testament, it says that be not ignorant, be not unwise to what the will of the Lord is. So the job of a man of the Lord is to know what the will of the Father is. Once you know that, once again, any kind of meeting that happens, it ain't gonna woo you because you knew it was coming. You know that it's what is it? It's two sides playing at the same time. You got the left hand playing and you got the right hand playing of the Creator. So if Satan is doing a thing or two towards these people, that's the left hand side of the law. Even just that right there, what I just said, that's important to know. It's very important to know that the Lord deals with both sides of the spectrum. Because once you know that, you can't fear what man is going to do. You can't fear Satan himself. A lot of people fear Satan, not knowing that Satan is nothing more than opposed opposition. He's nothing more than a double agent working for the Creator. Go on, brother.
It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 45, verse 4, or verse 5. I am the Lord Jehovah, and beside me there is none else.
Right.
There is no power beside me. I girded thee, thou that hast not known me,
Right.
that they may know from the rising of the sun
In the east, go on.
and from the west
Uh-huh.
that there is none beside me.
Right.
I am the Lord Jehovah, and there is none else.
Right.
I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil.
Yep.
I, the Lord Jehovah, do all these things.
That's what you have to know. That's one of the most important, which all of the scriptures are important. But that's paramount. You have to know this. If you know that the Lord controls both sides of the spectrum, again, you're going to be satisfied. That's why a lot of us, we can go to bed and sleep good at night. Okay? We don't care about what this devil is going to do, because what this devil does is under the order of the Lord. It's ordained of the Lord. Okay? You got the spirits out there that's doing what they're supposed to do. You got Satan and his minions doing what they're supposed to do. Okay? And it's all under the influence of the Lord. You see how the saying goes, right? The puppet, what is it? He has how does it go, man? How does it go? The saying. You got the puppet master, and he's pulling all of the strings. The Lord is pulling all of the strings of each and every man on the earth. Even the Lord's pulling our strings too. Like people like to use the term demon. Oh yeah, that guy's got a demon on him. We got demons on us too.
Well, they said that about John the Baptist. That the way he was so in the spirit, it's like he had demons on him. But he was technically, but in a righteous way.
But in a righteous way, because the word demon, just like as the elder apostle broke it down, it just simply means intelligence. And they even said it about Yahushua. They said that he had a devil on him.
That devil.
Okay?
So
yeah,
you can be intelligently wicked,
Yep.
or intelligently righteous.
exactly. Just like the apostle Paul said. Though yet we deceive, but yet true. I'm roughly paraphrasing what he said. Going on. Just to back up a little bit.
Yeah, so I read verse 7 again, Isaiah 45 and 7. I form the light and create darkness.
Yeah.
I make peace and create evil.
Right.
I, the Lord, Jehovah Hashem Yahushai, do all these things.
Exactly. So he creates darkness, and he formed the lights, and he creates darkness. Doesn't it also say a basic scripture that we all know, right? Where it says that if there be a if there be trouble in the cities, that the Lord have not done it. So there you go. There you go. Because the thing with these Christians, these average people out here, they only know that God is just good and that's it. He can never do no wrong. He's so good, he couldn't even hurt a fly. I haven't said it in a long time. That's how they actually view the Creator. And here it is, people that's lower than the Creator, they can have two sides to them, a good and a bad side. They can express that, but the Lord can't express his bad side. And he gave us the bad side and the good side. Come on, man. We gotta get real. And the way you get real is knowing the law, fearing the law. When you fear the Lord, you know exactly what's really going on out there. It's all of this he created. So if the Lord created all of this existence, it would be smart for you to get down and touch with the Most High to know it. All right? Go on, brother.
Yeah, that was it. Isaiah 45.
Mm-hmm.
You have another one?
Oh yeah, I got plenty. You got a precept, right? No. Yeah, let me what is it? Psalms. Yeah, give me Psalms 19 and 7. No, go back to Romans 10. Go back to Romans 10 and give me Psalms 19 and 7. I think you put on something 61.
Romans 10, it's from verse 15, right? The book of Romans 10 and 15, and it said,
Romans 10, 16, 16. No. It's like Proverbs 1. Proverbs 1 and the perfect verse, what is it? What is that? 39 or something like that?
the book of Proverbs chapter 1, verse 8, my son, hear the instruction of thy father, and forsake not the law of thy mother.
Right. Go on.
Let's start from verse 7. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction.
Go on.
My son, hear the instruction of thy father,
Uh-huh.
and forsake not the law of thy mother,
Go on.
for they shall be an ornament of grace unto thy head.
Right. They shall be an ornament of grace unto thy head. Yeah, because I wanted to break this down again. So this is the thing. Through this knowledge, there lies grace. That's what Yahushua died for. He died so that we could come under the grace period. Under the grace period, you know, we're going to go off from time to time, but it's really for us to what? Try to rehearse the righteous acts to the best of our ability and showing that, look, we do business. Even though we're in this wicked, evil flesh, but we still fight through to maintain our righteousness while we're under the grace period, to make it right. And then once we made it right and the grace period is done and over, then we get, Lord willing, we get delivered. All right? Go on.
And it reads, and forsake not the law of thy mother, for there shall be an ornament of grace unto thy head, and chains about thy neck.
Go on.
My son, if sinners entice thee, consent thou not.
Right.
If they say, come with us, let us lay wait for blood.
I'd say, well, hold on to that. Get Psalms 1. You know what I want. I think it's Psalms 1 and 3. Yep.
It's the book of Psalms, chapter 1, verse 1. Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners,
Right.
nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful.
Nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. So you don't want to be associated with sinners. Once you come into this knowledge, which really includes you may have to separate from you. You got a close cousin, your cousin got loads of friends, and he hanging with a whole bunch of niggas. You gotta get away from that nigga. Because he's gonna draw you into his world, and then some bullshit happens and you get caught up in the mix. When really you should be out here doing this. And then you gotta spend time in the pulpit. When really you should be out here, like I said, doing this thing. Okay? So you basically by yourself. You become, what is it, a solitary individual in this truth. Now you come among the brotherhood, right? The real La Familia, right? But at the end of the day, when it comes to your peoples, you ain't really effing with them. Look at my man Abraham. Abraham was the first holy man. Because his father, his father on Terah, they were worshiping the moon god during that period of, the landmass of early Chaldeans, which was known as Babylon. That was the common practice at the time. So Abraham had to separate from that, and then when Abraham separated from that, the Lord was there present with him to deal with him. Okay, the Lord can't deal with you mingling, dibbling, dabbling, and mingling with these niggas out there. You gotta be pure separate. Okay? Boom, now.
It reads, but his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law doth he meditate day and night.
Right, like we're doing right now. This truth has become our entire life. Every single day that we get up, we think about this truth. However we think about it. We think about the kingdom, we think about the scriptures. And that's why brothers is always doing lessons, because they always got something in their mind in relation to the truth. Okay? So this truth really becomes a part of your way of life. All right, your way of being. So if it's become a way of your being, you're gonna pretty much always be meditating on the scriptures. Okay? You ain't got no choice but to go on, brother.
Yeah, quick one, yeah? Matthew 11 and 25 said, at that time Yahushua answered and said, I thank thee, O Father, Lord of heaven and earth, because thou hast hid these things from the wise and the prudent, and hast revealed them unto babes.
Yeah, we are the babes. We are the insignificant ones. Now the term babe, if I'm correct, it's like it, brother. The term babe just really goes back to being simple. Does the scripture speak about that? Making the simple wise. So we've been made wise to what? To know the purposes of the law, which is the most important thing ever, as I'm going to keep saying it. All right? So instead of us trusting in the wisdom and the knowledge of this world, which is foolishness, which is vanity, guess what? We can trust in knowledge which is valuable, which is going to pretty much be as valuable as delivering us when the trying times come around. Probably won't rain too bad. Don't want it anyway.
Hold the book, Bobo. Yeah, ain't gonna rain because the clouds are thick.
Go on, hit the scripture.
So, let me hit again. Matthew 11 and 25 again says,
Actually, you know what, brother? I'm good, man, because this is good enough.
All right for me. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, 25 again. At that time, Yahushua answered and said, I thank thee, O Father, Lord of heaven and earth, because thou hast hid these things from the wise and the prudent, and hast revealed them unto babes.
Yeah, because I'll tell you the truth, man. Which really, in all reality, these are leaders and these wise amongst Esau that are credited of being wise men in the way that they, how the way that they're credited and everything. They're of the wicked anyway, so they're not going to get this. This is only for the Israelite man, the elect of the Israelite man, and as well as not even including these wicked jakes. Like it reads, wisdom will not enter into a malicious soul. A lot of these jakes have maliciousness inside them, somehow, some way. So this wisdom ain't going to enter into them nowhere. As it is also written, to the pure all things are pure. All right. So the Lord is looking to, which the elect are going to have by default. They're going to have a pure mind to take hold of this truth, which is going to save their life, whether in a great way or small. Go on, brother.
Yeah, you quoted for this one earlier as well. Yeah, Psalms 19 and 7 says, the law of the Lord is perfect, converting the soul. The testimony of the Lord is sure.
What is the word convert? Meaning with truth. Go on.
Yeah, converting the soul. The testimony of the Lord is sure.
Right.
Making wise the simple.
Right. Just like God quoted. And what makes it sure? Doesn't it also say that we have a more sure word of prophecy? Yes. And it mentions that in the New Testament. what is it now? Numbers 24, I believe it is. Numbers 23 and 19. The Lord is a power that he shall not lie nor repent of his words. Isaiah 55 verse 11, that also says too that what is it? How does it go, man? I know it off of here.
Get it?
Isaiah 55, you can get it. Isaiah 55 verse 11. So shall my word be that goeth forth out of my mouth. It shall not return unto me void, and it shall accomplish that which I please. So the testimonies of the Lord are sure. Okay? And you know what's sure, including everything included, is this chip, the B system, which is right here, right now. All they gotta do is come up with a psychological operation, right, or multiple of them, and then therefore that chip is involved. Going, bro.
Isaiah 34 and 16, seek out the book of the Lord and read.
Like you just mentioned, brother, which the way to fear the Lord is to seek the Lord. So it says to seek ye out of the book of the Lord and read. Go on.
No one of these shall fail, none shall want her mate.
None shall want her mate. Go on.
For my mouth it have commanded,
Right.
and his spirit it have gathered.
Right. So it's guaranteed that these words are going to come to pass. So just like I mentioned before, when you know these words, you know what to look out for. So when it gets really bad out here, let's just say Jacob's trouble comes around. And as is also explains Lakia, bear me in the flesh. As it explains in the book of Daniel 12, it says that a time is going to come since there was a nation on the face of the earth. And anything could happen. The Most High can happen to where we can actually deal with it. And just to prove what I'm saying, just to qualify what I'm saying, if you can, brother, give me Job 5. In what is it? I think it's 30, where it says that they shall heal. No.
Job 5 and 12, he disappointed the devices of the crafty, so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise. He taketh the wise in their own craftiness. Yep. Job 5 and 22, at destruction and famine thou shalt laugh, neither shalt thou be afraid of the beasts of the earth.
Right, so it says, you shall laugh at destruction and as well as even in famine, in the time of famine. So when no hell breaks loose in the time of Jacob's trouble, we're going to be actually all right. And the ultimate reason why we're going to be all right, because we've already had the counsels already in our minds. We've already visualized it so many times. As the prophets are, they're seers, aren't they? Visionaries. So we've already visioned it so many times, repetitively, so when the real thing actually comes, it's not gonna work. It's just like, for example, if you look at how the boxers train, they train more vigorously than they do if they were actually fighting. So that when they go and fight for real, their body can do it. Because they put their body through extreme intense training. So when they fight their opponent, they're ready to fight him, and if not, beat him. Okay? So that's the thing. So we're going through the training right now. That's why we're going through our hell and everything else, and we keep having to read these scriptures over and over again to drill it in your mind that these things are what? Faithful and true. So that when it happens, it's not gonna get you messed up. Go on.
Alright, this is the book of 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 3.
That's all right. That's all right.
Thou therefore endure hardness as a good soldier of Yahweh Shai.
Right.
No man that warreth entangleth himself with the affairs of this life.
Right. Going back to being what? Separate. Which means no man having entangled himself with the affairs of this world. Read it again.
2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 3. Therefore, thou therefore endure hardness as a good soldier of Yahweh Shai. No man that warreth entangleth himself with the affairs of this life.
Because really we're at war spiritually. So if you're at war and you're with the world, how are you saying you're fighting against the world? How are you saying you're in the truth if you're in the world? You have to separate from the world, and once you do that, then you will find yourself spiritually fighting up against this world. Like a lot of the times when brothers come into the truth, it feels like your world is upside down. Okay? And then you have all of these demons fucking with you, because really you're going against the grain spiritually of this world. That's really what that's all about. So that's a good thing. That means you are welcomed in the truth. Initiation. There you go, brother. That's the initiation.
Matthew 16 and 25.
You're going.
For whosoever will save his life shall lose it, and whosoever will lose his life for my sake shall find it.
And that goes back to what? The counsel of the Lord. So the reason why you don't want to entangle yourself with the world, because you know exactly according to the counsel of the Lord that the Lord is going to destroy the world. So if you're trying to save your life like everybody else in the world, they're going to lose it. And you're going to lose your life. Okay? Again, this is why it's essential to fear the Lord. Very simple. But something so simple can have a greater impact and power to it. Okay? Go on, brother. You ain't, like a lot of the times, you ain't got to read a scripture that elaborates much. You can read one basic scripture, right? Very simple. And guess what? It has a whole lot of substance to that. Okay? Go on, brother.
Right. Back in Job 5 and 22, at destruction and famine thou shalt laugh,
Right.
neither shalt thou be afraid of the beasts of the earth.
Right. And guess what? Like I said, the reason why we're gonna laugh and mock, doesn't it say that? I want to get it right.
And it says, at destruction and famine thou shalt laugh,
Right. Destruction and famine thou shalt laugh. Go on.
neither shalt thou be afraid of the beasts of the earth.
Right. Neither shalt thou be afraid of the beasts of the earth. Because guess what? When all hell breaks loose, even the zoos are gonna have to open up the doors, and them zoo animals are gonna be out in the streets.
Well, that's what's happening over there in France.
Oh yeah, in France, right?
You know, you got them writing, and them French, they're serious, man. They're always setting on the shit alight, man. Their whole fucking population is they're like mass arsonists. Any little thing they're setting shit fire, setting shit alight. They broke into the zoo. Now you got lions and what was the other one? I don't know if it was a rhino, but it was definitely like these beasts, man. One of them was like a lion or a tiger roaming the streets of France, man. The people videoing it and shit. So what happens when the Lord puts the spirit on them animals?
Yeah.
Man?
And then you got the wild birds too.
The wild birds,
The scripture says that the Lord set up, what is it? The Lord is gonna have birds flying over people to pluck them.
flock there, man.
So I mean, it's gonna be wild out here. But even in that time, we're gonna be all right. Tells you that in Job, because why?
It says it right here in verse 23. For thou shalt be in league with the stones of the field, and the beasts of the field shall be at peace with thee.
Exactly. Doesn't it say the Lord will make thy enemies? You know, it says, whosoever pleases the Lord will, make his enemies to be at peace with him. So there you go. So if you're doing the Lord's work, because the video that I did, right, it's kind of similar to what we're going into right now. But the video was basically showing, to the best of my ability, that the bad times which is forth to come isn't for us. It's primarily for the wicked, the ungodly. It's not for the righteous. Now, it's for us to a degree to go through the trial and tribulation. Okay? But primarily for the wicked to perish. That's what it's really for. So when you start to see all kind of craziness, violence like you ain't never seen before happen, it's going to be among the wicked. Whether it's Edomites, whether it's Israelites, or other nations. Go on, brother.
Right. I read verse 23 again, and it says, for thou shalt be in league with the stones of the field, and the beasts of the field shall be at peace with thee. And thou shalt know that thy tabernacle shall be in peace, and thou shalt visit thy habitation, and shalt not sin.
And shall not sin. So there you go. So we're going to be in a peaceful situation. Doesn't it also say that in a time of distress, the wisdom shall be the stability of our time, and the strength of the Lord is the salvation. So when you put these scriptures together, it kind of makes sense that in that time, because I mean, yeah, we're in the flesh, and we can easily say that we're going to be kind of scared and everything, but we have to also shoot back to the scriptures. The scripture says that we're going to have a decent, reasonable kind of mindset at that time, as we just read. Okay? And like I was saying, the reason for that, because we've already envisioned it so many times, over and over and over again. That's the real reason. It's training. Go on, brother. Mental training.
Right. Genesis 37 and 24. I'll start with 24, just a couple of verses. And it said, and Jacob was left alone, and there wrestled a man with him until the breaking of the day.
That's the angel, right?
Yeah. And when he saw that he prevailed not against him, he touched the holy of his thigh and the hallow of his thigh, and the hallow of Jacob's thigh was out of joint. Right?
Break it down.
Right. That's like what you might call an MMA move. You know, but ultimately he was fighting with an angel. He was fighting with an angel, and the angel was until daybreak. And the angel was like, even Stevens, the angel must have been holding back obviously a little bit.
Yeah.
The angel, they're powerful. So when he saw that he wasn't prevailing, he touched his thigh. That's MMA move. You get his thigh out of joint. Carry on in 26. So he was wrestling until the morning, and he said, let me go for daybreak. Let me go, for the day breaketh. And he said, I will not let thee go except thou bless me. Yeah, so how badly do you want it? That's what lingers up in the air. You know, Jacob wanted it badly. That's why he wrestled the angel. So that's the same question. When I watch martial arts, anything you think, say, boy, would I be willing to go through that? Man, holding me in a guillotine, and sometimes there's ways to get out of it, but some don't get out of it. Most don't get out of it.
Like Apostle Hart, he says, what is it?
Yeah. So he says, because there's training that you can do that you can get maneuver your way out of it. Most people don't know, but this is what our forefather was up against. Right? And he said in 28, he said, thy name shall be called no more Jacob, but Israel, for as a prince hast thou power with God.
And it's like right now with the word of the Lord, we're wrestling against these dark spirits in high places among these wicked people. So we're wrestling even right now. But when the trying times come, we're going to be wrestling what? Once again with the word. And with the word we shall overcome. That's what's written. So if it's written, which is a part of the counsel of the Lord, then guess what? Everything's good. Everything's going to end well for the sinners, no matter how bad it gets. Because it's going to get real bad out here, man. All right. What's going to happen is, man, you're going to have these police officers. They're going to be turned into the military, and they're going to start shooting these people. It's going to get so bad that they may have to start killing a lot of people. A lot of people are going to get locked down. They're going to get tossed into a concentration camp. Whatever psychological operation that plays, they may even say is another pandemic. Set up these different quarantine camps, put you on house arrest for a while, have you up in there. And the reason why they're going to have you up in there is they want to make sure that you're going to be capable of submitting. They're going to coerce you to submit to their system. All right? But in that time, we're going to be cool, calm, and collected, because the Spirit is going to be on us, tanning with the word.
Psalms 27 and 1. The Lord Jehovah Hashem Yahushua is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear?
Right.
The Lord is my strength of my life.
Right.
Whom shall I be afraid? When the wicked, even mine enemies and my foes, came up to eat my flesh, they stumbled and fell.
Right.
Though an host should encamp against me, my heart shall not fear.
Right.
Though war should rise against me.
But why should his heart not fear? Because he knows the counsel of the Lord is in both counsels that he's established. Remember, it says in the scriptures that there is no counsel against the Lord. So if there's a counsel among men, good or bad, the Lord had his hand on it, and he still has his hand on it. Go on.
The war should rise against me, in this will I be confident. One thing have I desired of the Lord.
Read that again.
Psalms 27 and 1. The Lord Jehovah Hashem Yahushua is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life.
Right.
Of whom shall I be afraid?
Right.
When the wicked, even mine enemies and my foes, came up to me to eat my flesh, they stumbled and fell.
They stumbled and fell. So when Esau comes with great anger, as it is written in Revelation 12 and 12, it says that the devil shall come down having great wrath, because he knows that he had but a short period of time. And speaking about that, because this is spirit, man, like I got an article on that regard as well, man, I want to get into. There's this guy, from the UN. He was saying that basically he's gonna let me see if I can find it. Somebody speak.
Finish out this verse. Though an host should encamp against me, my heart shall not fear. Though war should rise against me, in this will I be confident. One thing have I desired of the Lord, that will I seek after, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to behold the beauty of the Lord and to inquire in his temple.
That's right. It's true. And it's just like when the Lord was about to, when the Lord was going on that cross, what did he envision? He envisioned the kingdom. So this truth gives you all of that. So when all hell breaks loose, we're going to have the vision, and we're going to see how beautiful the Lord is. Also, speaking about beautiful, the Lord is going to beautify the people of salvation. So all of these good, so even though all of these bad things are going to happen, we're going to know what's coming next. Once again, showing you how important fearing the Lord is. Because when you fear the Lord, you know all things. As it is also written, the Lord have blessed us with an unction to know all things. Stemming all the way back to the original thing, fear the Lord. Go on.
Isaiah 30:21 says, and thine ear shall hear a word behind thee saying, this is the way, walk ye in it. When you turn to the right hand and when you turn to the left.
Break it down.
Yes. So when we first initially, as you say, we was as beasts in the world. Psalms 73:22. Before we got this truth, we was as beasts. So we was called, via through the internet, on the streets. But first of all, most brothers hear it on the internet, and then they find their way out to camp where the brothers are, and they so that's initially you.
That's all right.
The Most High talking to us through the Spirit in His ears via the brothers, the elders, and the apostles on down. Via the line that's in Psalms and Psalms 9.
Yes, 19.
Yeah. The line. So that's the word that we hear behind us, man. And we still continue to hear that word through our ears, talking to us. As long as we stay locked into tuned in. As long as we stay tuned in to the Spirit, man. We still hear that word directing us. That's why we will meet here. That's that word getting us here together again. Getting fed, man, in the Spirit. So as things get turned up a little bit more, I'm just visualizing talking in the Spirit now. You can imagine that we're going to be even more locked in when we some of us may be pilgrims, some of us be in the wilderness, wherever in the camps. The Spirit's going to be feeding us what to do. Some men, wherever you get whether you're martyred or not, you're going to be directed. That's going to be your lot. So if you're on the run, what comes to mind is the Matrix movie when Neo was, he had to go from place to place, and then everywhere he would go, it was like a phone. He would pick up the phone from Morpheus be at the other end of the phone, or anybody, telling him this is what you should do. Go this way, or the mobile phone as well, because that was the mobile phone. And then he would say, this is what you should do, this way. Oh, someone's going to meet you here. Go up them 2 walls there. I remember they was going up the wall, and people was on the other side of the wall. They were saying, oh no, they're on to us. But that directly, that was, can visualize how it's going to be in Jacob's trouble. The Most High is going to be giving us direction via the angels, where to go, where not to go.
We know we're going to get into that because we got scriptures for that, just like that's the Spirit. I got all of those scriptures linked up. Yeah, so read that scripture again and read the article.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 27, verse 1. The Lord Jehovah Hashem Yahushua is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is my strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? When the wicked, even mine enemies and my foes, came up to me to eat my flesh, they stumbled and fell. Though an host should encamp against me, my heart should not fear. Though war should rise against me, In this will I be confident.
Yeah, because Esau's coming with war. The reason why Esau's coming with war because they, like I mentioned, quoted the precept, Revelation 12:12, because they know they have but a short time. And also, the psychological operation that's going to be is probably going to be their last and only one. So they're going to have to go all the way heavy with this one, okay? And try to do the best that they can to submit all souls onto their agenda, okay? So now, if you got some more on that, read that, and then we're going to get to the article.
In this will I be confident. One thing have I desired of the Lord, that I will seek after, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to behold the beauty of the Lord Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai.
Yep, and also the reason why he said he was confident, because guess what? The Lord is going to be orchestrating the dangerous times. We just read already before. Then we just read already before about how the Lord, he said, I'm the one that, forms of light and creates darkness. I, the Lord, do all of these things. So it's going to be the Lord that's going to pave the way for these devils to bring the evil time. Doesn't it also say in Proverbs 16:4? I created all things, yea, even the wicked, before the day of evil. So the wicked is going to be instrumental in bringing in the day of evil. The absolute evils like you've never seen before.
That's how God bless you, guys. God bless you.
Thank you, man.
Yeah,
Thank you.
We got this. We got this. God bless you, brother.
That's right, brother. Bless
Protect
you
us.
too, man.
God bless you. I'll protect you outside.
All right, man. Thank you, man.
God bless you all, yeah?
God bless you too, bro.
Thank you.
Go on, man.
Right, this is the article, and it says,
Going out.
the people's voice. UN demands indefinite emergency powers
Yeah.
in the event of complex global shocks. And it says the UN has outlined a far-reaching plan to seize emergency martial law authority over the entire world in the event of a variety of, and I quote, complex global shocks.
Yeah, so when you're talking about martial law, you may just think, oh, it's just martial law in the Western Hemisphere. No, this devil wants to roll upon all people as much as they can, because the goal is to change the world from what it is right now to something else. So this devil, man. I'm telling you, man. That's why it's going to be known as Jacob's trouble, because Jacob has been scattered abroad in all places. So whatever government that Jacob is under, they're going to resort to wrath, because Esau's going to give them the okay. It's really Esau doing it. Let me correct myself. It's really the Lord that's going to do it. Go on, brother.
And it reads, and it says, a complex global shock in order to ensure that there is total compliance from every government
Total compliance. Go on.
and institution in response to whatever crisis is declared by the elites.
Right, to whatever crisis is declared by the elite. And I looked up the word crisis, which is a Greek term, which means judgment. You see, so again, this proves that when these psychological operations happen, it's all going to be towards the judgment of the wicked. Okay? They're going to be the ones having to suffer the consequences of their error due to these psychological operations. And on top of that, they're going to be the ones that slid into this evil. Go on, brother.
And it says, according to the UN, the globalist elite must be provided with the legal right to punish any government, institution.
Okay. What was that? Revelation 13 and 15.
The book of Revelation, chapter 13, verse 15. And it reads, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed.
Should be killed. So this devil, just like how they did, as always, years prior, whenever a government didn't really comply with the orders of the West or the central bank, they were shut down. Probably the prime minister was killed somehow, some way. So in this time around, when Esau, oh brother, yeah, you just about turned it off. Yeah, Salaki, we just gonna have to sort a couple of things out.
Right. I read that again. Revelation 13 and 15, And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as that would not worship the image of the beast should be killed.
Yeah, so this devil is going to make sure that the whole entire world, all governments comply. Because this is serious business, man. This ain't no joke. Like down here in the UK, brothers say this ain't no joke team. You understand? Like Esau's going to mean business when this time comes. Yeah, everyone has to take that mark. If we send a psychological operation that's going to rule the world, everyone needs to comply. And if they don't comply, they get got. All right? All of this song, what is it? Holding back, dragging their feet, them days are going to be over. Go on, brother.
And it reads, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name.
This is going to be enforced, like I mentioned. They're going to make sure that all governments get down with the get down. And also it's forced upon the citizens that they get down with the implantable device. And what is it? Be transformative to the new world order, as they newly call the Great Reset. Okay? So this devil's going to come down having great wrath, and as you just read, when that happens, we're not going to fear, because we're going to know that it's really the Lord doing it, and it's really to do with the fact that these devils are going to be laid to their snare. All right? Because the minute they try to rise up against us, that's when they're going to get messed up. Okay? Around that same time, that's when the Lord is going to have to intervene. Because if the Lord don't intervene, then there'll be no flesh to be saved. Okay? Remember, it says in the book of Psalms, what is it? 103. You can't, brother, give me that. 103, where it says that the Lord have sent prophets, and he told them no man to do them harm. So you know, so we're the guys you don't really want to mess with on a violent tip, because the Lord is going to react and respond. We're the most important men on the face of the earth. So if we're messing with, man, Yahweh Shai is going to mess with you in the most worst way. Okay? Oh yes. Yes. Go on, my brother. I've sent them in every place, and that my prophets what?
Yeah. So Psalms 105, and I'll start from
105. Okay.
30 says, when they went from one nation to another, from one kingdom to another people, he suffered no man to do them wrong. He reproved kings for their sake.
Right. So for the sake of the prophets, even kings are reproved. Showing you the importance of the prophets, like I said, because these are ambassadors of the Lord himself. These are seers of God themselves. So it's kind of like you're messing with the Most High. Okay? So Esau's going to be in some deep shit once one of the prophets are touched. And you know what's going to do it too? What's going to do it is the fact that these devils are going to be so angry that they're going to persecute some of us. Some of us are going to be put to death. All right? But never mind that, because we're going to be resurrected.
Yeah.
Going on.
One more. Just to hit the point, 15 says of Psalms 105 says, saying, I'm quoting again, suffer no man to do them wrong, yea, he reproved kings for their sake, saying, touch not mine anointed, and do my prophets no harm.
Right, and do my prophets no harm, because we are the anointed. We're also Messiahites too. It wasn't just one Messiah. There's many Messiahs, but the term Messiah just means to be anointed. Okay, you have the head Messiah, which died on the cross for our sins. That have anointed us to what? To preach this to. Okay?
That's where Christians go off, because they say the word Christian, which is Greek, it means to be a follower of Christ. It don't mean that. It means to be anointed, because you had people that followed the Lord, but they weren't chosen. So are they anointed then? No, they're not. No, as they just to back up the elder, the word Messiah, Meshachia, means the anointed ones. You have to be an Israelite to be in the ballpark.
Yes.
You know?
Because in the times of the age, there was no nation that was anointed. It was only Israelite men.
Yeah,
Psalm 105, I read 13 and 14 and 15.
Right, because that's backed up in Chronicles. It says a similar thing. I'll just bring it out. It says, in Chronicles, 1 Chronicles 16, starting at verse 20, and when they went from one nation to nation, and from one kingdom to another people, he suffered no man to do them wrong. Yea, he reproved kings for their sakes, saying, touch not my anointed, but do my prophets no harm.
Go on, brother, break it down.
So the prophets has always been, what is it, Jeremiah 28 and 8, the prophets before me and before thee of old have been and prophesied against many kingdoms and great countries, of war and of evil and of pestilence. So in all the ages, in all the kingdoms that have been, the Lord's prophets have always been on the scene. And that's a sign of a kingdom's downfall when you start to see the men of the Lord speaking against it. So in this time it's no different. We're out here prophesying against Babylon the Great, and in due time the Most High is going to bring its destruction, but he's not going to allow Esau to destroy all of his prophets. Yeah, some of us might be martyred along the way, but it's not going to change the outcome. The outcome's still going to be the same. Esau's going to get destroyed, go into slavery, and Israel's going to gain the kingdom for an everlasting kingdom. Let's see. Right, this is the book of John chapter 11, I'll start from verse 24, and it reads, Martha said unto him, I know that he shall rise again in the resurrection at the last day. Yahushua saith unto her, I am the resurrection and the life. He that believeth in me, though he were dead, yet shall he live.
That's the spirit, man. That's the spirit, bro. I wanted you to read that because I also wanted you to also get where it reads that what is it? The dead and the anointed shall rise first. But I wanted the brother to read that first. Yeah, it's the spirit. Go on, brother.
Read verse 25 again. Yahushua said unto her, I am the resurrection. I am the resurrection and the life. He that believeth in me, though he were dead, yet shall he live.
Right, yet shall he live. Doesn't it also say in John 3:16, God so loved the world that he only gave his only begotten Son, and whosoever believes in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life. And we know what the word is. We already broken it down so many times, but I'll just say it anyway. The word world is in relation to a people, which was already chosen since the beginning. Okay? Which were known as the sons of God, but then later the names were changed to Israel. That's the world who the Lord died for. Alright? So any who out of the nation of Israel believes, which is going to happen to be the elect, they're not going to die. They're not going to die. So the ones of us that do die, we're just going to be resting like my man Lazarus is resting. Okay? That's how it's going to go down, brother.
Right, this is in 1 Thessalonians, 2 Thessalonians, 4 and 16 again.
Yeah, the spirit is willing today, right now.
Right, 1 Thessalonians 4 and 16. For the Lord himself. Now let me read up a bit, it's a bit more. Right,
Come closer, brothers, so you can get in the camp.
right, for what? 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, starting at about verse 13. But I would not have you be ignorant, brethren, concerning them which are asleep, that ye sorrow not, even as others which have no hope.
Right.
For if we believe that Yahushua died and rose again,
Which she did, go on.
even so, them also which sleep in Yahushua will the Most High bring with him.
Yep.
For this we say unto you by the word of the Lord, that we which are alive and remain unto the coming of the Lord shall not prevent them which are asleep.
Right. In other words, those that are resting. In other words, for the sake of the world, they will say, well, they're dead. But they're really at rest, sleeping. Go on.
For the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trump of the Most High God.
Right.
And the dead in Hamashiach shall rise
So
first.
the Yahushua is going to give a great shout. Right? In the Hebrew tongue. And all of those spirits are going to rise up. That's even going to be epic in itself. So all kind of epic stuff is going to happen. All right? During the time of the Lord. Go on, brother.
That verse 17, 1 Thessalonians 4:17. Then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds
Go on.
to meet the Lord in the air.
Go on.
And so shall we be with the Lord forever.
Right, and so shall we be with the Lord forever. So it's going to be the ones that have died in the anointing. They're going to be resurrected first. Once they're resurrected first, then guess what? The ones that are alive, they're going to be coming up into those clouds separate. Okay? That's how it's going to go down. So we ain't dying, man. None of us are going to die with no hell breaks if we believe. As I just quoted in John 3:16. All right? As a matter of fact, someone read that because I'm going to butcher it now.
If I may, Baba Kushai, over. But don't believe that Esau's not going to try. He's going to do his best to slay Jake, man.
Oh, yeah.
So that's when you're going to start to see miracles, man. Because, yeah, some of us will be martyred, but the vast majority of us are going to come through that tribulation. So, like, it's going to get real, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And then you can also get what is it? John 1. I think John 14 where he says, I'm the way, the truth, and the life. That's a new scripture we usually bring out nowadays.
The book of John chapter 3 and 16. For the Most High so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life.
Now, if you read Acts 2 and 21, it says, ye men of Israel. It says the same thing in Acts 2. So it's talking about the Israelites. So whoever in Israel believes in Yahweh Shai, he's not going to perish, but have what? Everlasting life. He is the light, and as well as he's the light giver. Okay? He was the one that died for our sins, that died so that we can come back to life. So when death is present, when the Lord allows Esau to go ape shit on the whole entire planet, guess what? The Lord is going to be there in the midst. Okay, just like how the Lord was in the midst when all of that melee was going on in ancient Egypt. The Lord is Yahweh Shai is going to be within us, not within us, but you get what I'm saying. He's going to be in the midst. Yeah, that's the word I forgot to mention. He's going to be in the midst.
If I may, Baba Kashar, to back you up though, that the Lord's already with us now. He's already with the elect because Matthew 28.
Well, actually, no, you can read that and also get Acts 1 as well.
Can't, yeah. This is Matthew 28, starting at verse 18. And Yahushua spake unto them, saying, all power is given unto me in heaven and in earth. Go ye therefore and teach all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, teaching them to observe all things whatsoever I have commanded you. And lo, I am with you always, even unto the end of the world. Amen. So even though he's not physically present, what does it say? Where two or three are gathered in my name, there I am in the midst of us. So the Lord's spiritually with us, man. There was one that you wanted me to get as well. So like,
the one in Acts. Actually, you will get.
Acts chapter 1 and what?
I think it's 1 and 6.
Yeah.
He said, I will be with thee in Jerusalem, and I will be with thee in different parts of the world, and as well as the innermost parts.
Yeah. Acts chapters 1 and 8 says, but ye shall receive power after the Holy Ghost is come upon ye, and ye shall be witnesses unto me, both in Jerusalem and in all Judea, and in all Samaria, and unto the utmost part of the earth. And when you have spoken these things,
there's the word utmost, which means the last part of the earth. So we're talking about all the way in the west. So that would be as what was used to be Austria, which is known as American Day, which is named after an Italian navigator, Amerigo Vespucci. So the Lord is with us right now. Go on, brother.
Carry reading on in 9. And when he had spoken these things, while they beheld, he was taken up, and a cloud received him out of their sight. And while they looked steadfastly toward the heaven as he went up, behold, 2 men stood by them in white apparel, which also said, ye men of Galilee, why stand ye gazing up unto heaven? This same Yahushua,
which I believe the 2 men were, correct me if I'm wrong, John and as well as Moses. They were the 2 greatest prophets in Israel. Okay.
read it on, 11. which also said, ye men of Galilee, why stand ye gazing up unto heaven? This same Yahushua, which is taken up from you unto heaven, shall so come in like manner as ye have seen him go unto heaven.
Right. So, in other words, Yahushua's coming back in the angelic sense from heaven. Revelation 1:7 tells you that, yeah, all eyes shall see him. So all of this is going to happen when we're meeting death in the face. When death is present, life is going to be there present with us too. You know what I mean by that going, brother.
You call for this one. You call for John 14 and verse 6. John 14 verse 6, forgive me. And Yahushua saith unto him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh unto the Father but by me.
Exactly. So the Lord, He's the way, the truth, and the life. He is what the straight way. He says that what now, He says the gate is narrow, and if you there be maybe that find it, which leadeth unto life. And the broad gate is the wicked. Okay, which represents you being in the world. Following what the wicked are doing. As we just read in the book of Psalms 1:1 to verse 3, where it says that you're supposed to separate from the counsel of sinners. As a matter of fact, get it, because I said it wrong. It's the book of Psalms 1:1. So whenever I say a scripture wrong, you're gonna have to read it, man. To get it right. You know what I'm saying? We gotta get it right, man. You gotta get it right. Because people are learning and they're watching the video. They may not be probably watching it now, but they probably gonna watch it later. You know? So go on.
Book of Psalms chapter 1 verse 1. Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly,
Right.
nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful.
Come.
But his delight is in the law of the Lord,
Come.
and in his law doth he meditate day and night.
Right.
And he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that bringeth forth his fruit in its season.
Which really the point was in verse 2. You know?
But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law doth he meditate day and night.
Yeah, come. So you ain't supposed to be down with the wicked, man. Because you already know it's gonna happen to you. Again, that's also part of the counsel of the Lord. And you're gonna know these things because what? Going back to the topic, fear the Lord. It's the beginning of knowledge. Go on, brother. So now let's read it.
This is John, 1 John 2 and 15. It says, love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world, the lusts of the flesh, and the lusts of the eyes, and the pride of life, is not of the Father, but is of this world. And this world passeth away, and the lust thereof, but he that doeth the will of the Most High God abideth forever.
And that's the point. That's what you want. You want to abide forever. So tap into the word. Tap into your Yahushua, which he is the word incarnate. Leave the word alone. Leave the world alone. Because we know that this world is going to pass away. As a matter of fact, as it says, with a great noise, it's going to pass away. Because you're going to have the nymphs as well as you're going to have those lasers coming out of Yahushua's chariot and the multitude of the chariot.
Yeah.
So this place is going to be smacked up, man. Smack the power. Go on.
Yeah. You finished yet?
Yeah, I'm finished
Right.
that, yeah.
Proverbs chapter 29. Matter of fact, let me start. I'll start from here. 29 and 2 says, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice.
Yeah.
But when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn.
Go on.
See, so the people are right now, they're becoming more and more homeless. But you see all this, what we're hearing, all the music in the background, which are on the way here. We just had the month, the alphabet people month, which they're extending it because this is like their last fling to be in denial of their kingdom going down, which they know it's going down. So that's what they're doing. They're clutching at straws right now. Their kingdom is going down. I'll read it again. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. So there's a whole heap of alphabet colours all over the place, which I went into that. It's our colours. They've plagiarised our colours. you know, doing everything nothing sacred anymore, doing everything to turn everything upside down. So that making the kingdom unsacred, and the homelessness what you see is falling, for the most part, is falling on his own people, their rulers, and their children are complaining. So let me jump down, just to end it off. Proverbs chapter 29, and I'll jump down to 27 says, "An unjust man is an abomination to the just, and he that is upright in the way is an abomination to the..." I'll read it again. "An unjust man is an abomination to the just, and he that is upright in the way is an abomination to the wicked." So they don't like us. Let me just say it like that. They don't like us, man.
And Satan, you know who don't like us? Satan don't like us either.
Yeah.
That's why we had a hard time in this world.
You know, and we don't, you know, the scripture says they're an abomination to the righteous.
Exactly. So that's all we need. So what I want you to get, brother, I want you to get me Proverbs 14. Yeah, Proverbs 14 and verse 15. Because we just read in the book of Psalm 73 when David said, before I came to the knowledge, I was likened unto a beast. Go on.
The book of Proverbs chapter 14 verse 15. The simple believeth every word, but the prudent man looketh well to his going.
Yeah, because the beast, when you think about it, you can actually tame a beast to do what you want it to do. If you have a dog, you can tame it to do whatever you want to do when you become its master. So everyone's become servants unto who they say is their master, which is the elites in this case. All right, like what you can do, like I said, like what you can do to a beast. So they believe if they take on every word that their masters tell them, when in all reality they really should be taking heed to what the words of the Lord is saying. But they're going to do that because they are without the counsels of the Lord. They're foolish without the knowledge of the Lord. That's what I really wanted to say. Go on.
And it says, "A wise man feareth and departeth from evil, but the fool rageth and is confident."
Right, and the fool rageth and is confident. So, in other words, he's confident in the plain way. All right, he's unobservant. He's not looking at himself to see what's going on. And he's not even looking at what's going on outside of himself. All right? But a wise man says, a wise man feareth and departeth from evil. Why? Because he has instructions that tells him about the evil which is to come. If he prolongs to do wickedness. Again, that's why it's paramount to fear the Lord. Going into seeking the Lord. You know these things. Okay? Go on, brother.
He that is soon angry dealeth foolishly, and a man of wicked devices is hated. The simple inherit folly, but the prudent are crowned with knowledge.
That's what happens. It is also written, the prudent looketh well to his God. So eventually, if you continue into this truth, you're going to be what? Made wise. That's why it also mentions that we've been given what? This word which is like living waters. He that believeth on me, as the scripture hath said, shall flow rivers of living water. John 7:38, if I'm correct. Okay? So that's where we come. That's where we're at mentally now. And as you continue to grow in the spirit, in this truth, you obviously learn more of what you've already been taught. Okay? That comes with it. Going on. Does anybody else go on?
Right, because this is what it's coming down to. Revelation 14 and verse 8. And there followed another angel.
You know it's heavy, right? Because I was going to go into that topic. Okay, cool. I was going to go into the heart. Who's going to get there if you're reading this now? Cool. I deserve to just read it.
Alright, Revelation 14 and verse 8. And there followed another angel saying, Babylon is fallen, that great city, because she made all the nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. And a third angel followed, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast and his image, and receive his mark in his forehead. If any man worship the beast and his image, and receive his mark in his head or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of his fornication. The same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb.
Yeah, that's why we keep telling you about this MOT. I'll just say the mark of the beast prophecy. Because it's the last prophecy. If you take the mark, you are going to be destroyed. As we just showed. Go on, brother.
Just a quick testimony. I was in Tesco's late at night the other day on Thursday. Because I went there after I finished the other camp. But it was late, so it was about like, it must have been like 11:30 or something. And they had most of the checkouts shut. It was just the self-services. And as I was standing in the queue, because there's a lot of people in there, 2 men were standing behind me. And one guy goes to the other guy, "Oh mate, you're paying by cash or card?" And he goes, "Oh, I'm paying by card. I don't use cash anymore. I ain't taking out cash in years,
That's
mate."
the spirit, man.
Right? I
can't
don't
make
use
this
it
up.
anymore. Don't use it.
Huh.
And I was eavesdropping on the conversation, thinking to myself, the people's minds are perfectly ready to accept that chip, man. Here's my man saying he ain't taking out cash in years. He uses his card for everything. Likewise, when I'm on the bus, I see people trying to tap, and they're either using the bank card. When the bank card or the Oyster don't work, what are they doing? They're taking out their phones.
What was you talking about before we started the camp?
It's phone, yeah.
It's heavy.
Well, but the reason why I'm laughing because I got what you're talking about, to be exact. I'm gonna send you I might as well send it to you because you're talking about it. That's what I'm gonna get into. Oh, your phone's in there. I'll send it to you then. No, but what I'm saying is you're talking about the cashless thing. I got all of the it's right there. Beautiful.
So that's the spirit working,
This
man.
is the spirit, man.
What is the spirit? The spirit of Yahweh is the spirit of prophecy. We're prophesying of these things to come. While these other fools are out here fucking drinking and listening to music, we're in the house of mourning telling you about the destruction that's coming, man.
Because it's like last week, man, this brother, he was in the spirit.
Yeah.
I wasn't really in the spirit. I keep it real. Sometimes the spirit don't even, jump on you from time to time. You know what I mean? You just try to do the best you can. But the thing of it is, the spirit is like the wind. It goes on whatever, brother, it goes on to. You don't know where the spirit is going. It might come a time next week, I might not be in the spirit. This brother's in the spirit, or this brother's in the spirit. You know what I mean? So, what propels us to teach this word and to do what we're doing is the spirit. You ain't got the spirit on you, you can't do anything.
Precept, everybody finished? Yeah?
I finished mine yet.
All right. Proverbs chapters 3 and 31 says, right, you're talking about, yeah. So 31 says, envy thou not the oppressor and choose none of his ways.
Right, exactly.
And
break it down.
Yeah, well, they're gonna make it more enticing, more tempting. Some brothers might, with their women, the women are gonna come on and say, "You look so nice, man." You know when they go window shopping, and they go, "I look so nice, I saw this thing," and they get your wallet out. That's what they say. So they, it's gonna look enticing. So this is what we're gonna read. Carry on reading. Envy thou not the oppressor, choose none of his ways, for the fruit is an abomination to the Lord, but his sacred is with the righteous. So it's to the righteous, what they're doing, what they're going to offer is an abomination anyway. Whether they make it look, they dress it up, make it look so pretty, doesn't matter how it's dressed up. Yeah, this MOTB, which is the mark of the beast. They're going to dress it up, make it look enticing, but it's an abomination to the Lord. Last one. The curse of the Lord is in the house of the wicked. Demons are fucking around with it. The curse of the Lord is in that. I just look at, you see that? I'm reading the scripture, that just pops up, man, in front of what I'm reading.
Error, this is error or something. It's all spiritual.
But we're laughing at the demons, man, you know what I mean? We really, Jacob, he wrestled with the angels, so he went ahead as a pioneer for us. So,
and as well as Yahweh Shah defeated Satan on a 40-day fast. He was at his lowest point.
I'm finished
So Satan's
reading.
already done.
So the curse of the Lord is in the house of the wicked, but the blessing, the blessed, the habitation of the just. But he blesseth the habitation of the just.
Yeah, so that's just the thing. So we're going to be blessed. This habitation is going to be cursed. Once Esau gets done doing what he's doing, this place is out of use. All right? That's just the whole thing. Simple and quick. Yeah, so I send it to you. Yeah, so when you go to the link, brother, you're gonna see a plethora of enough you're gonna see a plethora of articles that's talking about the cashless situation like your brother was going into. Brother Caleb for that, Because the thing of it is, you didn't even know I had the article, so for you to talk about it, it's like you knew I had the articles on deck. And that's the spirit once again. because this is what I really want to talk about right now. Show one, my brother. Y'all must know something. Much love.
This is from the GBN, and it says Mark Dolan warns cashless Britain would spell end of financial autonomy as state takes control.
Yeah, so go back to where you was at and show the plethora of articles that's on that top. I like that. Yeah, because there's plenty of trending topics on this, man. Like all kind of media outlets have been speaking about this. All right, and what I have on my phone right now, which I don't have to show the camera in this case, what I have on my phone is that a lot of people are using the contactless method, whether it's by phone or whether it's by their card, credit card or debit card. They just swipe it, and there you go. So what they found out, as Esau has found out on the Google, which is what we did. So what I did was I said is cash widely used in the UK. This is what I typed in. So it says the pool over 3,000 UK adults found that almost 2/3, 63%, are using cash at least 5 times in a month. Second, only to debit cards, which are used over 5 times a month, about 3/4. But this is not really what I want to get into. This is something else, right? Right here. Hold on, wait here. Yeah, this is it right here. No. Let me relax. Calm down. Chill the hell out. Let me get to it. So anyway, yeah, this is it right here. Exactly. This is it. So it says, so I typed in contactless payments. That was talking about something else, really. So how many people are using the contactless payment method? So this says a record of 91% of all card transactions were contactless last year. According to the data from Barclays, during a 12-month period, the total value of the UK contactless payments increased by, let me see. I gotta go into the website. Based on the data complied from billions of debit and credit card transactions, Barclays said that on an average contact user made 220 touch and go payments in 2023. So this is the thing. They found a record, and this is in what is it? Barclays Bank, 91%. Okay, and as well as down here in the UK as well. Hopefully, I got this on record as well. Just give me for 1 minute. As I'm gonna now say, bear with me in this flesh. This flesh ain't gonna lie.
We know it. We will know.
Yeah. This bear with me. Somebody talk.
I was reading Revelation 14 and 6. We didn't bring up 13 and
15.
yeah, Revelation 13, going on to down 16. Now let me read from 15. Revelation 13, 15. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark or the name of the beast, or the number of his name.
Yeah, I got this as well. This is what I was talking about as well. Even in America, they said around 51% of American adults use some form of contactless payment. More than half of the U.S. adult regularly use some form of contactless payment. This includes contactless cards, mobile wallets, and smartphones, and wearable devices. So down here it's 91%, and America is 51%. So the numbers are climbing when it comes to the contactless payments now.
Yeah. And the spiritual was higher over here because this is the financial hub. If you go to Revelation 16, it's about three frogs, man. So one of them is London, which is the financial sector. You've got Washington, military part, and then you've got Rome, Vatican, which is the spiritual part, Revelation 19. So it's only natural that we have a higher percentage of contactless payments over here.
Because we're going to lead the way.
We're going to lead the way, man. And Apostle Jahad did say that when it concerns the mark of the beast becoming mandatory and things really being in your face, England's going to feel it first before America, man. They're really pushing that shit over here.
If I may as well, I saw a video not too long ago, the elder from over here in England put it up, where Tony Blair come out the woodwork, as he does every so often, and he was talking that we need to have a unified, what was he talking about, a unified payment system for everybody. I can't remember the exact words he was using, but essentially he was pushing for the implementation of the mark. So Tony Blair's high up there, man.
He did the Rothschild.
That's what I'm saying. Even though he's not in the public eye like when he was in Downing Street, he's still making these big moves, and every so often he pops up and he'll say some shit, and you've got to ask yourself, hang on a minute, why is he on the news? Why is he on TV? Because they're the ones who are spearheading this thing. They've got the agenda, and all these fucking news companies, they're told when to put their stories out. Now, okay, the elites are saying we're going to push this story, so he comes out saying, yeah, we need to have this unified payment system. It's all leading to the mark, man. It's inevitable. Because if you look back, like, I'm just going back in my head, man. Years ago, I used to work in retail, like 2004, 2007, even before that. And I can actually, just looking in my mind, I remember when they started first pushing chip and pin, because people used to pay, what is it, cash, card or check. They phased the check system out. Then they brought out the cards when they started having pins on them. So you put your card in the reader, you put the pin number in. Now it's going to, what is it, contactless. So you can see there's been a gradual transition from paying with cash to using the card to then typing your pin to now all you do is present the card. And what you do when you present the card, you're being trained psychologically to do this. Oh, I want to pay. So you're doing this all the time. Eventually they're going to take the card away and put it in your skin. Now you mentioned there, Elder, about wearable devices. That's why these companies like Apple are pushing the Apple Watch and shit. Because like I'm just talking about it. We started again. Well, it's a spirit, man.
Again, you can't make this up, man.
So yeah, you see people again, they've got the device on their wrist now. So what are they being conditioned to do? Like I see it on the underground all the time. People walk up and they're like this, and they're going through. So psychologically, people have been programmed, which means they've been forewritten in their heads and in their actions to be used to doing this rather than doing this, which is to pull out the purse, rummage through, count the coins, present it. They're not. People aren't really doing that too much anymore. And a lot of people who you wouldn't think would have contactless payment now, they're buying contactless payment readers because they realize that their customers, like for example, you have people who sell like, I don't know, things like, here's a good one, buskers. Yeah, I've seen a lot of buskers now, they've got the contactless payment system, because before people would throw the odd pound coin or 50p in their little busking bag. Now people are carrying cash, so they're realizing, shit man, nobody's throwing money, I need to buy one of these readable devices. So you see it all the time now, they've got their little fucking thing where you tap your card and you can tip them.
Yes, I got more information. This was what I wanted to bring out as well. How many people still use cash in the UK? Over 8 million adults in the UK, 17% of the population, rely on cash to make payments every day, according to interim findings published since December 22nd, 2022, or 2022. So how much more is the number deducted? So now we have a population. Now we know that down here in the UK in totality is almost 7 million people, but only 8 million people rely on cash. So the number has been brought down dramatically when it comes to using cash. So when we tell you about the MOTB, all right, that it's going to come, we mean business when we say what we say. It's actually already here, by the way. Because even I myself, man, there was a time where I used to use cash a lot. I used to take my cash out my bank account. I don't even do that no more. I just swipe my card. It's more convenient for me. I'm used to it now. Okay? So they've already conditioned the minds of the people to go towards that digital side of things because that's where the world is going. Totality going.
There's another aspect as well. When you get a job, back in the day, when you used to get a job, they used to sometimes pay you in cash at the end of the month.
Yeah.
You know, you go in there, the office, they give you a little envelope, you take it, you got your little money in there, and they pay you every month, which is off, but you sometimes just get paid by cash. That's a thing of the past.
But that was a couple of years ago.
Not even a couple of years ago for me. I mean, I'm thinking 90s, man.
Oh, yeah.
Because, like, for example, when you go to apply for a job now, what do they ask you for? Your national insurance number and your bank code, and your sort code and shit, right? So when you do get paid, the money is put into your account and it's digital. It's numbers on your bank balance, right? So when you do want to get your money, you have to go through the rigmarole of going to the bank and withdrawing it. And not a lot of people want to do that. They can't be bothered, so they just leave the money in the bank and they use their card for everything.
Yeah.
So ESO again is locked it down. So where all avenues lead to the MOTB.
Yeah.
That's all I know.
And this is why they've invested to bring in the CBDC. So what's going on right now as we're talking? Cash is dying out, and there's an incoming of the CBDC simultaneously. It's all happening at the same time. And also they got the digital ID setting as well, because like the brother said, it all goes back to the mark. It all goes back to the Quran. That's the last result. And also, I want to speak on something else as well. As a matter of fact, if you don't go, you can read on my phone. No, this is something else. I got it. Yeah, this is it right here.
From CNBC, Nokia CEO says 6G will be here by 2030, but you might not access it via your smartphone.
Yeah, ignore most of what the brother's going to read. We're going to get to the point. There's the point, but continue to read on.
It says Nokia builds telecoms network that enables devices to communicate with one another. Asked when he thinks the world will move away from using smartphones to using smart glasses and other devices that are worn on the face,
Yeah.
Nokia CEO Pekka Lundmark
We're getting down to the point now. Go on.
said it will definitely happen by the time 6G arrives in 2030. US tech giants such as Meta, Google,
There's a thing with 5G. 5G is already good enough. You don't need 6G. 5G is big enough to where you can gather data from all around the world at a live time. All right, all manner of data can be gathered from each and every person in live time. So they don't need 6G, but they're gonna get the 6G to make it more safer for the new system, because it's like, for example, you have a computer, right, and you have too much data on the computer slows down. Yeah, it's like right now I'm gonna have to sort my computer out because I got too much data on it. That's why I really can't use it right now. It's slowed down. So what they're gonna have to do, they may have to somewhat, maybe they're correct. Maybe they're gonna have to up it up a notch. Just 1G, 6G may be just as good enough. And it's funny because the number 6 is in reference to the number of a man.
That's true, yeah. It's all symbolism.
It's all symbolism. Go on, brother.
US tech giants such as Meta, Google, and Microsoft are working on a new augmented reality headsets that could one day replace the smartphone.
You're going.
Nokia CEO Pekka Lundmark expects 6G mobile networks to be in operation by the end of the decade, but he doesn't think the smartphone will be the most common interface by then. Speaking on a panel at the World Economic Forum
Pay close attention what this man just said here.
in Davos on Tuesday, Lundmark said he expects 6G to hit the commercial market around 2030, which coincides roughly with when Hawaii expects to see the technology on the market.
Go on.
Headquarters in Finland, Nokia builds telecom networks that enable phones and other internet-enabled devices to communicate with one another.
Go on.
He asks when he thinks the world will move away from using
Listen
smartphones
very clearly. Go on.
to using smart glasses and other devices
Go on.
that are worn on the face. Gunmark said it will happen before 6G arrives.
Go on.
By then, definitely, the smartphone as we know it today will not anymore be the most common interface, he said.
Go on.
Many of these things will be built directly into our bodies.
So he said they'll be built directly into your bodies. And he's absolutely right. Because obviously, he's an insider. And just like we was talking before we even established the ground, the reason why the ultimate reason why these phones, these walkie-talkies, which they don't call it that no more, that's like going back. But the thing of it is, the reason why you got these phones, or they came in around a time when like a lot of us is growing up, is so that it's really to graduate us to the implantable device. That's why nowadays, fast forward today, currently, with these same ass phones, what can you do? You can do exactly what you can do with your car. All right? Like what you can do, you can connect. I mean, I don't know how the people do it because I don't do it. But I'm pretty sure you connect your phone to your your bank, and you swipe your phone and you're able to pay for your goods.
Well, I can tell you on Apple Pay, there's a thing called Apple Pay, it's an app, and then it gives you like it pulls up the camera of the phone, and you pull out your bank card, you scan the front of your card, you flip it over, you scan the back of your card, and then it verifies it, and now the card's on your phone. So from then you just double tap on the side of the phone, and it pulls up your card.
Convenience.
Yeah, convenience. But what I'm getting at is this. If you could swipe your card, if you could swipe your phone to pay for your stuff, guess what? You'll be able to swipe your hand. Yeah. Because every phone has an implantable device in it, right? Yeah. So that same implantable device inside your phone is going to be under you. That's what he's actually saying. So that's why they gave us the phones, to lead us up to that particular point in time to where we get the implantable device. Yeah. Not we, I'm just saying in general, the general public. Going up.
There's another aspect to this too.
It's a build-up, man.
It is a build-up, and there's another aspect. If you're not aware, you probably are aware that Esau has popularized tattoos to where there's tattoo shops on every street now, and you see everybody walking around, they're inked up, and they think it's cool. Yeah. Well, a lot of these tattoo shops are going to be chicken stations. You know, that's what
you know. That's something you say that because most of the tattoo artists have been shown to actually chip you.
That's right. Yeah. And people are now used to getting needles injected in them when it's not for an operation or medical procedure. Now it's normal.
So it should continue on lower than
their arrows, even bitter words, they may shoot in secret at the perfect. Suddenly do they
back on.
him and fear
I'll check
not.
it on here as well.
They encourage themselves in the evil matter. They consume the commune of lying sneers. Privately they say, "Who shall see them?"
Yeah, and that's what they've done. Oh yeah, you can also read Psalms 10 as well. Hold on to that and get Psalms 10 because it's a plot. The plot is to gather the poor, to gather the righteous, the elect of Israel. Not the elect of Israel, but the Israelites in general. I'm saying, because the Israelites represent another world. They represent the kingdom. So if they can get all of Israel electronically tagged, then there is no kingdom, as they believe today. But there's an election according to grace that will not bow the knee to the image of Baal. Metaphorically saying that they're not going to bow to this new world order agenda under the Satan, because Shaitan is controlling the system. So we're not going to bow down to Satan. All right? Once you take that mark, you're in league with Satan. What you basically said is that you are a you've basically stabbed yourself, and now you're identifying yourself as
You're in love with the system.
Huh?
You're in love with the system.
You're in love with the system, but I'm looking for the word though.
Branded as well. You're basically saying you want to live under this man for eternity. You're like the all.
Yeah, the all. That's what I was going to talk about that. Exactly. So I tell you what, read that. Somebody get that. Because when you take that mark, what you're saying is you're basically declaring that you're one of Satan's children.
Ooh, that's the mark.
That's what it is. You're branding yourself with the mark of Shaitan. That's how you really say it, Shaitan. All right. Also known as the Antichrist, which that's satanic in itself, the Antichrist. Okay. So that's really what it is. I mean, I didn't really want to use those words. I wanted to use it in a different way. You know what I mean? But like I said, bear with me in this flesh.
I'm just looking it up.
Oh yeah, read
Yeah, I got this one then. Yeah, I got this one. I read Psalms, you said Psalm 10. So Psalms 10, I read 2. It says, the wicked in his pride doth persecute the poor, let them be taken in the devices that they have imagined. For the wicked boasteth of his heart's desires, and blesseth the covetous, whom the Lord abhorreth. Yeah. So it talks in 2, it talks about that divide, the devices. Yeah, the wicked in his pride doth persecute the poor, let them be taken in the devices that they themselves have made. So the devices, we know the devices I'm talking about at the moment, you know, the rainbow, the alphabet business, and the ultimate device. That's the kitchen sink. That's their kitchen sink. Mark of the beast. You know, when they label us and make us, all those that are originally from the jump marked to get the mark. Yeah, the children of Satan, they already they already got the mark, you know, spiritually. And those that are going to be preserved, the elect are already were separated from the beginning. They're not going to take the mark.
Yeah, because it goes back to and I'm thinking about another precept now. Back during the time when we conquered, when we was going to be around the Canaanites, the Lord said, look, don't make any covenants with these people, lest they instead in you worship the other gods. Right? But that same kind of commandment still applies. Because when you take that mark, as well as even prior before the mark, let's even look at these other camps. We know that these camps are juiced in with the government because of the popular seat in China. That right there, you made a covenant. So when the government decides to push the implantable device on the public, or even including your congregation, you have to push it. Yep. They're going to be told to probably read Romans 13, such and such, to convince their congregation that they got to take the mark because you're going to lead the system. Okay? But the point of the matter is that once you take that mark, you've made a covenant with death. Reset. Go on, brother.
See, this goes back to the law in Deuteronomy about if you've got a servant. Let me read it. It's a bit long, but it gets to the point. Deuteronomy 15, starting at about verse 12. Deuteronomy 15 and 12. And if thy brother, an Hebrew man or Hebrew woman, be sold unto thee and serve thee 6 years, then in the 7th year thou shalt let him go free from thee. And when thou sendest him out free from thee, thou shalt not let him go away empty.
Right.
Thou shalt furnish him liberally out of thy flock, and out of thy floor, and out of thy winepress, and wherewith of that wherewith Yahweh thy God hath blessed thee, thou shalt give unto him.
Yeah.
And thou shalt remember that thou was a bondman in the land of Egypt, and Yahweh thy God redeemed thee. Therefore I command thee this thing today.
Go on.
And it shall be, if he shall say unto thee, I will not go away from thee, because he loveth thee and thine house, and because he is well with thee, then thou shalt take an awl and thrust it through his ear unto the door, and he shall be thy servant forever,
Right.
and also thy maidservant, and thou shalt do likewise.
Right. So if he had the oil in his ear connected to the door, that was signifying that he was in bond with his slave master. So it's the same thing with the mark, which really the needle, which is gonna open your flesh up so you can get the mark, is equivalent to an awl. All right. If you look at the awl, how it looks in the ancient world, and you look at the needle that they may use on you, it's quite similar. All right. And when you look up that word mark, it gives you the different biblical usages, and the one word is palisade. So when you compare the palisade, the wooden palisade, to the needle, it's exactly the same. The shape of it is the same. So that's how we know that the implantable device is the mark. Yeah, that's it right there. Cut. That's the awl. And if you look at the awl, let me see if I can bring it to the. Let me press it. Yeah, so you may not be able to see it properly. Lord willing, you can. When you look at this all, at the end of it, it's got a pointy. It's got a point at the end of it, a pointy part at the end of it, which looks quite similar to the palisade. So that's how the implantable, the needle looks like. I keep using the term implantable device, so I'm saying it. Which really, come. So that's the end of the awl. All right. So that's how the needle of the mark, which is gonna open your flesh and give you the mark. That's how it's gonna look like. Okay. That's what it looks like.
If I may add to what you're saying, Elder, there's a beautiful point in this precept, because it says, Deuteronomy 15 and 16, and it shall be, if he say unto thee, I will not go away from thee, because he loveth thee and thine house, and because it is well with thee. So basically, this goes into them loving the world.
Right.
You know, because they're basically saying, look, I don't want nothing to do with Yahweh Shem Yahushai. I like it here under Esau. I love him, so I'm going to serve him forever.
Right.
So that mark is a deep thing, man.
Yeah.
It's not just, a little thing in your skin. It's a whole mindset that's like, you're at one with this system, man. Yeah. For Yahushai to rule, this system has to be destroyed. Baba Kushai, if I may speak for a second.
No, talk to me.
I got a couple cats, right? And I was speaking to this brother recently. The vets are now pushing, you've got to microchip your cats by 2024, otherwise you're going to be fined £500 per animal, and you're not going to be able to get veterinary care. So I was going back and forth in my head recently because one of the cats needed something done. I was thinking to myself, should I do it, should I not? You know, but if it says we shouldn't take the mark, well, what about pets? But then, reasoning with this brother, I'm like, no, man.
But though, if you got a pet though, naturally you wouldn't want your pet to take a mark, right?
That's what my spirit was saying.
Yeah.
My spirit was like, no, this is off, man. So I didn't do it. Yeah. But the fact of the matter is, you can see how the mark is being pushed in all facets. Because there's people who don't know this truth, and they think, oh yeah, will help me find my pet if it's lost. Not realizing that Esau's trying to bag and tag everything, man. Yeah. And it's gonna go. He's already done it to the dogs. That's mandatory. 2024, it's the cats. So how much longer before it's your ass, man?
Which is right round the corner.
Yeah, if I could add to that, because that all was, when all the Manassas, I would break it down to some, potential brothers or sisters coming, and they were talking about the tattoo, and one of the sisters was saying, oh, I got it because my mother or something died in the family. Yeah. So it's really, it's like, she was showing her loyalty in ignorance, because after we understood better, you know better, you do better. But in ignorance, some brothers have got tattoos showing that that's their loyalty. Oh, the woman, my mother, my grandmother passed, so I want to, show my loyalty to her, and she looks down from heaven. It's like you're showing who you belong to, who your loyalties are to.
Right.
Yeah. Back to the point with the MOTB and talking about that, you're showing who your loyalties to, who you belong to, who your loyalties to. Whether you might say, well, no, I'm not for it, but. Okay, let's grab him up and look at him.
Oh yeah,
you got it?
Yeah.
Right, yes.
29 verse 5.
You're down with them.
Yep.
You're not down with them. So that's who your loyalty is to, man. Yeah.
Just a precept to back you up, Baba Kasharia. Leviticus 19:28, because it's funny how the Most High predicted all these things. In the same scripture where it talks about cuttings in your flesh, it talks about printing marks for the dead, which is what you're saying. Like, you get people, they get the tattoo of mum on their arm, or they get, dad on their leg or some shit. You see it all the time, man. It says, you shall not make any cuttings in your flesh for the dead, nor print any marks. Leviticus 19:28, you shall not make any cuttings in your flesh for the dead, nor print any marks upon you. I am Yahweh. See, we belong to the Most High, man. We're his property. So if we then turn around and be like, no, we don't want to be your property, Lord. We want to be the property of this fucking devil, the white man. You got anything, Aria?
Yeah, I've got one for you, man. Just to back you up. Matthew 7, and
when I take this
straight to the point. 13 says, enter ye in the straight gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the way that leadeth to destruction, and many there be which go in therein.
Right, because the ignorant person, the foolish person, the unwise person, they don't really think about where they're going. Like, you could do this in they've done psychological tests with this. You've got what's called following the masses. Like, a lot of people, rather than make thoughtful, conscientious decisions, they'll just go with the flow and like, oh well, everybody else is doing it, so I go along. Like, for example, right now, we've got a lot of these arseholes sitting there, listening to the music, drinking their drinks, and yeah, we're having a good time. But a lot of the reason why they're there is only because there's other people there.
Yeah, that's right.
If there's one person there sitting with a little fucking tape recorder, playing the tape, do you think they'd all be sitting there? No. They're just going with the flow. But that's what people do, because not many people really think about where they're going. But a wise man, a prudent man, is supposed to look well to his going. So if you're spiritual now, if you're a spiritual man, right, you're gonna search the scriptures and think, you know what, man, like all the brothers in this done this at one point in their life. They realize the way I'm going in this world, this ain't gonna lead me to anywhere good. What should I really be doing? We should be seeking after the Lord, man. You know, so we sought the Lord, we sought the book of the Lord, we read out of it, and we saw, hang on a minute, this world's going to get destroyed. Because when we was at school, they weren't teaching us that Yahweh is coming back to destroy this place. No. Yeah, they teach some bullshit about, oh yeah, the sun's going to turn red one day, it's going to explode, and the whole system will be destroyed, and all the earth will be destroyed. No, that's some science fiction bullshit. The reality is that the earth will abide forever. But guess what? You know what's going to change? A changing of worlds in terms of rulerships. For example, there have been many worlds before. You had the world of the Babylonians, you had the world of the Medo-Persians, you had the world of the Greeks, you had the world of the Romans. These represented times of rulership, just like it says in the prophecy of Daniel. Is it Daniel's 2nd chapter, talk about the different ages? This age is no different. Eventually, you got it? Yeah, go on.
2nd Ezra 6 and 9, from verse 8. And he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth.
Yeah, read one more verse in that.
And it says in verse 10, the hand of man is betwixt the heel and the hand. Other question, Ezra's, asked thou not?
Right, so what happened when Jacob and Esau were born? When they were in the room, they were struggling together within the room because we can't get along. What Martin Luther King was talking about we must all come together, that's some bullshit. Jacob and Esau can't get along. We are the primary characters in this play, this movie. You got the hero and you got the villain, the two main characters, right? So what happened when Rebecca inquired of the prophet? He said, 2 nations are in thy room, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels. The one people shall be stronger than the other, and the elder shall serve the younger. So when she was to be delivered of her children, Esau came out first, and he was red all over like a hairy garment. But what happened? Jacob was holding on to Esau's heel. That was symbolic, and it was significant because it was a foreshadowing that Jacob is going to be the one to pull Esau out of his power, as the brother just read there. Now, when Jacob and Esau were young, and Isaac gave him the blessing, right? And Esau cried and he begged for his blessing. Isaac said unto him, you shall live by the sword. So, has that not come to pass? Didn't Esau rule by the sword? If you look at this man's history, what has he done? How has he managed to subjugate the whole earth? By the edge of the sword. Whatever country is at peace with him, he always runs up in there and tries to steal what they've got, because this man is a thief, right? He's a thief who can never be satisfied. He can never live at peace with anybody. See, we've got a real issue with Esau, but you know what? These other nations have got an issue with Esau too. They know that the white man's the devil, but you know what? Because of political correctness, nobody really comes out and says it so much. We're not under the auspices of political correctness. We're under the word of the Lord, so we're going to say what it is. So the point being is that, did not Esau get his blessing? Yes, Esau has had the rulership. Job 9 and 24 says the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. So who's in rulership at this time? Esau. And in the scriptures, in the prophecy, who would be in rulership at the time of Yahushai's return? Esau. So looking at that, you can see, hang on a minute, that prophecy's come to pass. That prophecy's come to pass.
Easy.
So why should 2nd Ezra 6, what you was reading there, why should that not also come to pass? And if you're a spiritual man, you can already see it through the spirit, man. This man's kingdom is falling. What does it say in Obadiah 1, Baba Shah? But now shall set thine aim to set their planets amongst the stars, and then shall I bring you down? Obadiah 1, Baba Shah. So like it, I didn't mean to
No.
change the track.
No, that's fine, that's fine. I'm doing something. It's cool.
about when thou shalt sit thy nest amongst the stars of nature like a beacon.
Alright, this is the book of Obadiah 1. Obadiah 1, I'll start from verse 8. Shall I not in the day, saith the Lord, even destroy the wise men out of Edom, and understanding out of the mount of Esau? And thy mighty men, O Teman, shall be dismayed to the end, that every one of the mount of Esau may be cut off by slaughter. For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. In the day that thou stoodest on the other side, in the day that the strangers carried away captives his forces, and foreigners entered into his gates, and cast lots upon Jerusalem, even thou wast as one with them.
That's right. Like when they said race it, even to the foundations of the earth.
Exactly. Esau has always been a fucking nigger, man. When we came out of Egypt in the Exodus and we wanted to pass through Esau's land, what did he do? He came out against us with swords and shit, saying, no, you can't pass through. We wanted to pass through peaceably. And Moses was like, you know, whatever if anybody drinks something, I'll replace it or whatever. But Esau didn't want to hear that. Esau has always been a fucking nigger, man.
Yeah, man.
Going back to Cain and Abel. See, this is some deep shit.
Unmerciful, unmerciful.
This is some deep shit, right? Because sometimes people don't realize just how much history there is. Like, for example, people who try and do a so-called political analysis of racial relations, when they're trying to look at it from a perspective of today, for example, whenever a Jake gets shot in the street, they have these people on the news, these fucking eggheads talking about, yeah, well, you know, we've come a long way, but things need to change. They're not realizing that this is a spiritual enmity that was set up from Genesis. In Genesis, Genesis 3. I shall put enmity against it between thy seed and her seed. Meaning that the seed of the wicked will always have enmity with the seed of the righteous. So this is basically the fulfillment of that. We're seeing the climax now, just like any film. You know, you've got a plot. In Act 1 or Act 2, you've got a few pieces moving around there. Really, Act 3, that's where you see the fireworks and, you know, the action. We're living in that final act of this movie called life. Because this is the Most High script, man. This is the Most High's theatre, and we're playing out the parts as the way the Most High wants it to play out.
You know what does the word theater mean?
Oh, it goes back to Theos, right?
Which means what?
It's like it jumped out of my head. I know it, but it's jumped out of my head.
Now me too.
That's a good question. Bring it out back of the shop.
Means God.
Means to make something. Theatre goes back to God.
Yeah. Right. Theos is God.
Right, for one, that's edification right there. So as I said, this is the world's theatre. This is the Most High's theatre. And you know what's funny as well, Salakia? I just mentioned this earlier on this morning. I'm kind of getting into like designing shit. Well, I'm into designing shit anyway, but like mechanics and engineering, I've been thinking about that. And a good way to learn mechanical principles or engineering principles, yeah, a good way to learn these principles is to use technical Lego, because you can see how things articulate and actuate and tolerances and movements. So I was thinking, you know, man, let me get some technical Lego. And I was looking at this construction set which has like a crane arm and it's pneumatic and you can build it. And by building it, you get to learn these principles. And when I was reading these Amazon reviews, people were saying, how does it move? And people were saying, oh, you move it by a device called the hand of God. So what that hand of God really is, like a black thing which you use to turn the thing around or rotate it, but they actually call it the hand of God. Now I thought this was really interesting because we live in a mostly atheistic world, right? But for them to call it the hand of God, it kind of shows that on some level in these designing principles, they know that there's a force which moves things. That force being the hand of God. Like for example, right now, we're being moved by the hand of the Most High because we're not exercising free will. Man's goings are of the Lord. That's a side point to what I was bringing out. The one I wanted to see is Obadiah 1 and 4 by the Bishop. Yeah,
This is the book of Obadiah, chapter 1, verse 4, and it says, though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou set thy nest among the stars, Thence will I bring thee down, saith the Lord.
Right, so what has oftentimes been the symbol of this man's empire? The eagle. If you go back to the Roman Empire, what did they use as their symbol? The eagle. What did they say when they claimed to land on the moon? The eagle has landed.
What is it, Apollo? I think it's 13.
Exactly. And on that moon mission, when did it happen? It happened around 1969. So from thence, the Most High has been bringing Esau's society down.
That was the same right about the time when our Bavarians was losing attention.
Exactly. See, the Most High works in a perfect balance. See, exactly. What did it say in the second Esdras? Esau is the end of the world. Jacob is the beginning of the following. So when we begin to rise, Esau begins to fall. That's why he's done his best to oppress Jake and keep Jake in a very subservient position, because Esau knows if any way these Israelites come out from underneath us, we're going to go down. So we're Esau's biggest threat. That's why in Revelation 11th chapter, it says, and they stood upon their feet, and great fear fell upon them which saw them. So don't think that we're not putting terror into the hearts of these elites, man. Man, they must be quaking in their boots. If they weren't scared of us, why would they be censoring our videos? Why would they be? I saw a video the other day on YouTube where they were talking about these people who do these jobs for social media companies like Twitter and Facebook and Google. They're called fact checkers, and they were talking to this person, and you know when they got their face blacked out, like they weren't actually showing the person's face. They had a black silhouette, and they had the text on the screen, and another person reading what they were saying. And they
got their voice deep, so you don't recognize their voice.
Yeah, but his voice wasn't deep because they didn't show the person, they just had a black silhouette.
Yeah.
And they read the person who was reading the article read the text.
Yeah.
And this person was saying, oh, I don't see myself as someone who's trying to push agendas. I'm just out to challenge. My job is to challenge incorrect assumptions and sway them towards verified and logical conclusions. So they're basically on the internet, these guys floating around there on social media, and they're basically out to challenge anybody who speaks against global warming. So, because one of Esau's agendas is using this so-called global warming crisis to push other agendas.
Right.
So he'll be up there on your fucking Facebook or your Twitter or whatever it is. Now we don't use Facebook, but you know what I mean, on these social medias or YouTube. And if anybody puts out something which contradicts Esau's narrative, there are people who are paid to actually actively challenge it.
You know, you kind of remind me of a guy. Now, this is a kind of somewhat of a different subject matter on the pandemic.
Oh yeah.
And the last name of him is called Who House. He's given an announcement on Channel 4 Live, saying that the pandemic which is to come is going to be much more worse than the one to come. But then he also says, I'm not a doom monger. But bro, you just gave away. You just said that there's going to be a worse pandemic when you go on live. So what do you mean not a doom monger?
Exactly.
Because what it is, they're pushing a narrative of something that they're going to do.
That's right. Oh, appreciate it, yeah? Right, let me just finish that and we'll get to that bubble shot. Because this is nothing new, right? When you're on the internet, don't be fooled. Not everybody who's on the internet is a legit person.
Right.
You got people who actually work for companies
Yes.
to push agendas. Shalom, it's the same thing with the whole LGBTQ thing. Why do you think that's become so popularized? Because there are people on the internet who will go on message boards and they'll post these pictures like, oh, this is me and my boyfriend. And then when anybody says anything, they start saying, oh, well, you can't be anti...
homophobic.
Yeah, you can't be anti these people. So they basically use people to sway the minds through social media, and also through television, these bullshit shows like fucking EastEnders, Coronation
You
Street.
gotta say it right. Tell lies to your vision.
Oh, tell lies to your vision. Yeah, your tell lie vision, right? The tell lie vision. For years they've been pushing these agendas, right? On your fucking EastEnders, your Coronation Street, your fucking Emmerdale Farms. They push, there'll be these people, all of a sudden one person comes out, oh, I'm gay. And oh, they all love him and they embrace him. I know of it, I never used to watch that one.
I'm gay, man.
Yeah.
Gay.
Yeah, so they use that and they've persuaded the people to think that, oh, it's normal. It's okay to embrace these lifestyles, and if you don't, somehow there's something wrong with you. Well, let me just break it down, right? recently we had this so-called Pride Month, right? Now, as a logical man, why should I celebrate the fact that someone wants to depopulate? Because what happens when you have men and women and women? They're not bringing forth children. They're not contributing to society in any long-lasting way. They're doing the best of them. So why should we celebrate that? They're not really contributing to the fulfillment. What did the fulfillment and sustainment of life? What did the Most High say? Be fruitful and multiply. That was commanded. So why should anybody in their logical mind celebrate that? Shalom. You got precept? Yeah, I got precept.
Really, they're pushing a buzzword, isn't it? That buzzword. And they make sure you know about it, so that you have to, you know, you have to walk around their agenda, you know, because their agenda is cool and yours ain't. Yeah, that's you know, we know the word is silly, but they want to make it trendy and cool to be so-called happy people. Yeah, I'll read it out. I'll read the precept. Daniel chapters 2, 42 says, and as for the toes of the feet, part of iron and part of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. So now you've got all these trendy things going on, man. It's a lot. Juggling taking place.
United States. When you look at Babylon, right? Babylon's looking weak right now. Because, you know, you got Biden and them pushing that agenda to West Africa, the likes of, and they're looking at them thinking that's your main goal, that's your main priority. You know what I mean? You should be thinking about how to, you know, stop all the homeless people, drug addictions and all of that stuff, and all the crime and all that.
Yeah, real life issues that people need to worry about. You see, for people to be embracing this kind of lifestyle, that goes back to the word, them hijacking that word. The word gay really actually means to be carefree. So when you really analyze it, these people are carefree. They don't have a care of the fear of the Lord. See, we want to talk about LGBTQ history. Why don't you talk about the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah? You know, that's your history, and that's your fucking future judgment, man, for living that dirty ass lifestyle. Now, for me to say that, people will be like, oh, how can you say that? Yeah, I can fucking say that because it's true. You see, we can't have this bullshit, you know. Got all these people walking around thinking life's a fucking joke. Oh, I can do what I want. I can be me. No, you can't do what you fucking want, man. You were put on this earth for a purpose. Whether you're a man or you're a woman, and your purpose is to serve the Most High. As an Israelite man, you serve the Most High by what? Preaching His word, teaching His word. If you're called to this thing, as a woman, you're supposed to serve your man. Ain't supposed to be any other way. But now Esau fucking comes up in the mix, like you're saying, trying to tell these was it Uganda and them other nations that they need to embrace LGBTQ. Nah, fuck you, Esau, man.
Precept, yeah? Daniel chapters 2, I carry on, 43 says, and whereas thou seest the iron mixed with clay, miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. So this is the fragmenting. We see the Most High doing that. He's causing them throwing them into confusion. He did that with a lot of the other nations. Syrians, he did that to a lot of the empires, and so we're seeing that now. The reloaded Roman Empire. This is what we're living in right now. Now here's the point. 44 says, in those days of these kings. In the days of these kings shall the Lord of heaven set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to another people, but it shall break in pieces and consume all things, kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. So they're going to have laws, statutes that we're going to be guided by. We've read some of them in Leviticus 19, pursuant to what we're discussing right now. And it's going to be, everybody's going to be under Yahweh, which is that stone that's going to smash all them other kingdoms, man.
Yeah. So the point being is that Scripture says we're not supposed to follow a multitude to do evil. Right? This is This is Exodus 23 and verse 2. Thou shalt not follow a multitude to do evil, neither shalt thou speak in a cause that decline after many to wrest judgment. You see, you got these fucking talk shows, right? Like Good Morning Britain and This Morning and all this other bullshit, BBC Breakfast. And you have these arseholes sitting up there like Piers Morgan and that Philip Schofield who's no longer part of it, and your Holly Willoughbys and your shit. And they'll be sitting around talking about LGBTQ issues or gender issues and how children should be allowed to choose their gender. They put these discussions on the television in order to persuade the mind of the people to embrace these ideas. Because if you didn't have a television pumping this shit into your home, how would it ever get there? Or if you didn't have the education system as well, which is another facet of Esau's system, pushing these ideas to your children at school, then they bring these wayward ideas into your home. You see, that's why the scriptures are important. And as a man, you're supposed to be teaching your children the scriptures, man. Because it's the scriptures which combat these wayward philosophies, man. This leaven, this pollution of this world, man. That's why the scripture says, because I read it earlier, is it John? Love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. For all that is in the world is not of the Lord, but is of the world, and this world passeth away. So man, you can't be letting all this shit into your home, man. Like, you gotta have some kind of, especially if you've got children, you need to have a filtration system, man. Like, when your children are going to school, it's not just the teachers who are pushing this doctrine. You've got other children who will come in and push that shit. So your children are being influenced by other children. When they come home, what are you supposed to do? What does the scripture say? How shall a young man cleanse his way? By the washing of the water, by the word. So you're supposed to bathe your children in this word, man. If you're a father, teach your children these scriptures, man. Teach them about the Exodus.
The scriptures say train up a child
The way you should go.
So, and they know this. That's why that's why they're bringing it into the schools. I think at the end of the year now, it's going to be compulsory teachings in the schools.
Compulsory what?
Compulsory teachings for this shit.
Oh, LGBT.
Yeah. So this is like the number one. This is their number one topic. This is their number one goal right now. You know, before we had the you know, the C19 and all of that. Now they're moving on even stronger with this whole alphabet business.
Yeah, and it's fucking tragic, man. I mean, I don't know if any of you bastards have been to bookshops and seen the books that they're putting into these children's classes. Teaching about Timmy with his 2 dads or Jenny with her 2 mums. All this kind of bullshit, man. Or teaching little boys that can wear dresses. It's absolutely sickening. But this is what Esau's pushing, and most of the world embraces it. Well, you know what? You've got a vast majority of people who don't actually accept it, but they won't speak up against it. You know why? Because they don't want to be called homophobic. They don't want to be ostracized. Well, guess what? If you're in this truth, and if you want to call yourself a true Christian, you're going to have to stand up for the truth. And in standing up for the truth, you're making yourself a target. Because what does the scripture say? You as sheep in the midst of wolves. So all these people we're surrounded by, they hate what we're saying. They hate what we represent. And if we were up to them, we'd be dead. We'd be 6 feet fucking under the ground. Because they want us gone. But guess what? It's the Spirit of the Lord which is serving us. We read it earlier. The Lord said, touch not my prophets and do my anointed no harm. So although these people want to slay us, they can't, because we've got a job to do, and we represent the Lord's will on the earth. What does Zion mean? Back to the Zion in Hebrew, which means a monument. You know, when you really think about it, right? A lot of people say, oh, where's the proof that God exists? Like, how can you prove it? Like, I want physical, tangible evidence. Well, guess what? You're not going to get that because this is the thing of faith. But if you did want to sign that God exists, well, look at his people. Because we're supposed to be the monument to the Most High. So what is a monument? Like something that's there, that can be seen, that can be observed, and it's like, oh, this represents that. Like, you know, you see like Esau will make his monuments to glorify his kingdom. Well, guess what? The Most High made his monument, and it's his people. And he's taking a subset of his people, which is not saying, oh, you shouldn't be judgmental. Oh, that's bad. No, man, you're supposed to judge with righteous judgment. So, Proverbs 3 verse 5,
Proverbs 3 and 5 says, trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths.
That's right. So that's where it starts, acknowledging Yahweh Hashem Yahshai. If you're an Israelite, if you're of the other nations, fuck you, do what you're doing, you're going into slavery regardless. If you're an Israelite, you need to stop listening to the world and start listening to the scriptures, man. Stop listening to the world and start listening to the men of the Lord, man. Stop listening to the world and start listening to the Lord himself. Because who does the Lord speak to? He speaks to his prophets. Was it Jeremiah 28? I've got something. Get that name.
Isaiah 34 verse 16. Seek ye out the book of the Lord and read. No one of these shall fail. None shall want or omit. For my mouth it have commanded, and his spirit it have gathered them.
So what's the book of the Lord? The King James Bible 16:11. That's the book of the Lord. Seek ye out that book and read. No one of these words shall fail. Now, if you want to know wisdom, man, you need to go to the Bible because this is a living book. This book isn't out of date. You know what I'm saying? Over 2,000 plus years, and these words are still relevant. They're still cutting things to the heart. No other book can do that, man. Because if you look at Esau's books, like, what does he have to do every so often? He has to periodically update it. Why does he have to update them? Because they're full of so many fucking lies. Now, a lie can't sustain itself. It's like if you've got a house, right? If you've got a house and you've got a roof, and you don't maintain that roof, eventually the water's going to start to break it, and the roof will leak, right? That's what a lie is. It has to be maintained.
I've got one when you're ready, yeah?
You have to keep building into the lie to keep the lie going, because you know what? The truth is shining on it like the sun, and eventually the sun's gonna burn up that lie. So that's why with Esau's fucking encyclopedias and his textbooks and shit, he has to keep updating them.
You're right, Brother Caleb, because the other day I was going into Google, right? And it says, I can't get into it, right? And it said because they're updating the system.
Exactly.
You see? The algorithms, you see? So I'm saying that they have to keep on changing to keep up with the lies that they're performing, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
I just said the Holy Scriptures never change.
Exactly.
Right?
And that's the point, because they have to work to sustain the lie. But the truth is always attacking the lie. So I'll give you an example. When I was a little boy, I used to be really into dinosaurs. And I used to collect a lot of magazines and read about them and shit. Lo and behold, when you look at the textbooks on dinosaurs today, the information is completely different. Everything that, and I was really into it. I used to, yeah.
And go on over time, you see the depictions have changed.
Yes.
Yeah, and every information that they thought they had about them is completely different. That's the same, right?
Yeah, that's because Esau was always fucking lying, man. But see, those creatures do exist, they did exist, they used to exist. Most likely put them hidden somewhere. But Esau told lies about them because really, like, they go back to dragons. Because dragons are mentioned in the scriptures. Now, if you talk about dragons, people say, oh, we'll talk about fantasy and all this kind of shit. No, man, dinosaurs are dragons, straight up. But Esau changed the name around the 1800s or whatever. Started calling them all these different names, like Dilophosaurus and, you know, whatever other dinosaurs, giving them these names. But really, they were already named in the scriptures.
Well, let's just say
Yeah, and it's some proof that they actually have taken different bones from different creatures to make one.
Yeah, they've made composites.
Right.
So they've combined a head from this creature, put a rib bone of that creature, put a back foot of that creature, and made up a name. So it's all bullshit, man. Everything in Esau is fucking bullshit.
And it's funny, according to the law too, you're not supposed to crossbreed either, animals.
No, you're not supposed to crossbreed, so that's going on.
Yes, going on.
But the point is that the scriptures don't change.
No.
You know, this KJV 1611, it doesn't need updating, like you said, the software update. You don't need that, man. It's still as relevant today, even more so, because Yahushua used the seals. So now we have more understanding book than our ancient forefathers did. You know, like for example, we were talking last week about the book of Revelation. The brothers beautifully breaking it down, chapter by chapter, verse by verse. John didn't understand what he was seeing at the time, but he used the words that he knew of at the time to describe what he was seeing. But guess what? The prophecy still is valid and relevant because we have the oil. We have the oil to be able to interpret and understand and break down those prophecies, all by the Spirit and grace of Yahushua. But you know, that's for the elect. It's not given unto the world because not everybody's supposed to understand it. That's why the vast majority of the world, they don't want to deal with the Bible. They think it's a book of fairy tales. Yeah, drop it down.
1 Corinthians 3:19, it says, for the wisdom of this world is foolishness with the Most High. Right. For it is written, he taketh the wise in their own craftiness. Let me read up.
Yeah, go.
verse 18, it says, "Let no man deceive himself. If any man among you seemeth to be wise in this world, let him become a fool, that he may be wise." The scriptures talk about renewing, the renewal of your mind.
Be transformed by the renewing of your mind.
You have to wash away this world's folly and come to the scriptures, man. And learn the real knowledge. That's the real knowledge, man. The scriptures don't talk about going to school, and going to university. It just talks about the scriptures. Learning from the scriptures is all we need.
Yeah.
That's it.
And that's what a good father is supposed to do with his child. You're supposed to talk about the scriptures with your children. Oh, Daddy, why is this way? Oh, well, because, you know, Exodus 23 says this. Oh, Daddy, but why does this happen? Oh, well, Genesis 1 says this. That's the answers you're supposed to give your children. You're not supposed to go up there and sit in a classroom with some fucking witch. Because a lot of you teachers are straight up witches, man. I remember from when I was in school, man, a lot of you women teachers, you were straight up fucking witches, man. And you're standing up there with your fucking menstruous crotches trying to talk about some Esau shit. Trying to teach us. Who are you to fucking teach us, man? And that's how I used to feel when I was in the class at school. I didn't really understand it because I didn't know the scriptures as well. But I always knew it was off. That's why I have such a fucking anger towards the education system. But they're up there talking their shit, man. Trying to teach us about what we should know. No, man. Your father's supposed to teach you the scriptures.
Luke 21, this is Yahushua speaking, right? And he's talking about, you know, in the time of when we might be captured in his kingdom towards the end, right? And so Luke 21 and 15, it says, "For I will give you a mouth and wisdom, which all your adversaries will not be able to gainsay." And that's the scriptures. Yeah, simple as that. That's that mouth of wisdom.
Yeah, because nobody can come around this thing, man. We've been out here for years, and a lot of people have come up to the camps with one doctrine or another philosophy, every man having his own vain opinion. And we've never been confounded yet. And I'm not saying that in a boastful way. The only way this works is because we rest on the scriptures. See, this is like a video game, right? There's every game you play, there's rules, right? So long as you stay within the parameters of the rules, you can't go wrong. So what are the parameters of the rules we work in? We work with the precepts. You know, we go precept to precept. You don't go by our own vain opinion. As soon as you start going by your opinion, that's when you start to fall, because you're no longer being sustained by the word of the Lord. So long as you stay in the spirit, so long as you stay in the scriptures, you can't go wrong. Now I've got this piece of clear. This is Timothy. 2 Timothy, yes. No, 1 Timothy 6:20. O Timothy, keep that which is committed to thy trust, avoiding profane and vain babblings and oppositions of science, falsely so called. So that's what a lot of these education systems are pushing. Vain babblings and oppositions of science, falsely so called. That's why when you got people talking on the fucking these fucking talk shows talking about, oh, it's wrong for you to wipe your baby's backside because you need to ask your baby's consent first.
Yeah.
I actually saw this. They're having a long, and this is the thing. You're having a fucking 20-minute discussion on whether or not you should wipe your baby's ass before asking permission. How the fuck are you going to get permission from a baby? Baby can't talk.
Listen to me. How is a baby going to sign along the dotted line?
That's what I'm saying.
How?
But they had fucking Piers Morgan and some fucking woman having an actual debate. Now, look at all the issues that are, like you were saying, about the Ugandans saying, look at all the other issues we've got to deal with, man. You've got the homelessness, you know, you've got the fucking so-called energy crisis, all these other things, and you're sitting there devoting a 20-minute segment where you've got the one woman saying, oh, well, no, it's wrong because it's very traumatic for the baby. You know, you need to ask for consent first because without consent it could be abuse.
The funny in that is that they want to bring the woman on the show and make mockery of what she's saying, but you brought the woman on the show to debate in the first place.
But they weren't making mockery of it, they were actually treating it like it was a Piers Morgan.
Oh, well, you know, the point that I'm trying to say is that why are you even giving it the time of day?
That's what I'm saying.
Why are you even giving it the time of day?
Brother, they know what they're doing. Believe me, they know what they're doing. That's a part of the plan and the agenda.
But you know what it is? There's a deeper reasoning for it. It's because folly is set in great dignity, and the rich sit in no place. Esau pumps out a lot of folly. You know why? Because that's the way he combats the truth, by distraction. You see, because think about it, we're pushing out this word hot and heavy on the internet, right? There's only so many times when Esau can say, don't listen to these people, they lie. You can only say that so many times. So he has to come with different angles. One of the angles he uses is to overwhelm the mind. Overwhelm these people to the point where they can't concentrate anymore.
Can I say something? I watched something last night. I'll try and make this reach as possible. Right? But there was a show on Netflix called Black Mirror. I don't know if anyone's seen it. But there was an episode where someone had kidnapped a princess in Britain, right? And they said that they would, you know, she was killed if the Prime Minister would not have sex on live TV with a pig, right? At 4 o'clock in the day. And so obviously the cabinet's trying to rush around, trying to get out of this, trying to find a way around it. And at the end of the day, he didn't get away with it, he had to do it. But all the while, you know, you've got the opinion polls. That's what this is really about, the distraction and the deflectors, right? So all the time, the public's opinion of the Prime Minister, 1 minute they're like, you can't do this, you can't do this. Then the guy supposedly slips off his finger and shows him the camera. That's when everyone's saying, oh no, he's got to do it now, to save it. So everyone's looking forward to watching him embarrass himself completely and utterly in the worst degradable way possible. But once it comes to the act, people's faces start to change, and they don't want to see what they're seeing. Because everyone's got this idea in their heads that we're in this fucking metaverse where you can watch anything and nothing matters. But it did matter. You understand what I'm saying? So and the guy actually did matter. He cut his own thing. He still needs to do it himself. Because he was an artist and he was just trying to show how the people react really. And his plan works. He knew people would be up. He knew people would sway to the fact that they would want him to do that.
They call it reverse psychology.
But then he also, when it came to the wicked act, people really didn't see that. They know it's going way off. Yeah, so it's mention. Because, you know, it's going into the whole psychology of the people today.
You know what the funny thing is about that guy. The funny thing about what you said though is that in this society nobody gives a shit. Because the scriptures say iniquity shall abound and the love of many shall wax cold. So unless it was their child that was kidnapped, they wouldn't give a shit. Because people are not compassionate. They don't have a care for their neighbour. They don't care how that person over there is doing. It's all about me, I. We've brought this out before, but why does Apple keep calling their technology I? Because it's all about the worship of the self. The iPod, the iPhone, the iMac, the iPad, whatever. It's all about I. When you go to the shops, exactly, all see an I. So it's all about the worship of oneself. You can have power. You can do this. You can do that. Really, we're supposed to be giving praise and glory to the Most High.
Well, it just came to me in the spirit. I was thinking about it. You got you, two, yous, right? So that's kind of like bringing attention. It used to be TV, 5 sections.
BBC 1, BBC 2, I3, Channel 4.
Channel 4, and then 4.
Yeah.
5 was the late. 5 was the last.
Channel 1, Channel 5. So now you got you now. You're used more to you. And you got social media. What do you need to say? iPhone. Social media. iPhone. So you got you, me. You got you, me, I. Everything's directed back to you.
Yeah.
Social media, you, me, and I. Everything's about you. It's your world now. And you can say what you want and you can do what you want. So I've got a precept. Yeah? Galatians chapters 1, and I read from the top. Couple verses. It says, "O foolish Galatians, who have bewitched you, that you should not obey the truth." Apostle Paul was talking to the Galatians. Because now we're dealing with, the churches, different churches, but now we're in this under the banner of witchcraft, under the energy and the vibration of witchcraft. They're throwing out witchcraft right now, right next to us. Yeah, right. They're throwing out only for enchantments. Because demons are among them. Yeah. So, O foolish Galatians, who have bewitched you, that you should not obey the truth, before whose eyes Yahushua Mashiach have been evidently set forth, crucified among you. So he was pleading to the congregation. See, look, demons. So they're throwing witchcraft. Yeah. So trying to bewitch us right now. You know, if it was up to me, I'd be over there, but
Yeah.
the elder said this is where we're going to be. But it's not that bad. We're still getting the word out. So there's nothing against the truth, only for the truth. But we're in amongst. When we leave from here and we're going home, there's all kinds of enchantments going all left, right, arrows going there. And, you know, we got to do that. We got to dodge. all of that. You see? So we're dodging all these missiles, the enchantments that's all around us, man. You know. And when we go home, if we got women. You know what I mean? The man never got woman there. You can't let your guard down if you got woman. You know what I mean? So the enchantment's coming out of left, right and centre.
Yeah. Finish on
Yeah.
2 Timothy 3 verse 1. This now also, that in the last days perilous times shall come, for men shall be lovers of themselves, covetous, boasters,
Good one.
proud, blasphemers. 2 Timothy 3 verse 1. This know also that in the last days perilous times shall come.
So this is prophetic. This is the Apostle Paul writing to Timothy, one of his understudies. And he says, know that in the last days perilous times shall come. Again, the Bible is a living book, man. How could the Apostle Paul have known that in the last days these perilous times shall come? And how is it that what is so poignant for what we're experiencing right now? Go ahead.
Verse 2. For men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers.
Right, so if you go on social media, as the brother Ariel was saying,
talking about, yeah.
what do you see? People worshiping and loving themselves. Oh, I'm in this shop. Oh, I'm on this holiday. Oh, I'm in this restaurant. Oh, I bought this car. Oh, I just got married. Oh, this is my cousin's baby. All this crap, right? All about the glorification of themselves to be like, oh, I'm living my best life. When a lot of times it's bullshit, man. The reality is nobody's happy 24/7. And really, a wise man scarcely smiles. What? Why? Because depression makes a wise man mad. So all of this bullshit is funny about, hey, we're listening to songs and shit. People are going to go home and they're going to be fucking miserable. They're probably going to take some drugs, probably going to drink themselves to sleep, and they're going to start again tomorrow and be looking for another distraction. Because they know that this society is falling, but they don't want to admit it. They want to cling to the hope that things will get better. It ain't getting better, it's only going to get worse. So therefore they need to have more and more distractions to make themselves feel better. And that's why I brought out the issue of distractions before. Because when you're studying or when you're learning, your brain can only take in so much information at a time.
Yes.
So if you want to learn a new skill, you can't fucking cram it in one day. Your brain don't work like that.
And it's like it's story. That's how they do TikTok. Because all you do is flick.
Flicks, swipe,
It's like
flick,
it's a
swipe.
mini movie,
Yeah.
a 1 minute, a 20-second movie. One, you know what I mean? One
Exactly.
flick. So you flick again. It's all that keeping you distracted. Yeah.
Well, so the brain can only take so much information at a time. So there comes a point where your brain becomes oversaturated, like a sponge. Like if you put water on a sponge, the sponge will absorb the water to a point, then eventually the water will start to seep out. But what is this word likened unto? Water. Right. So when we're teaching this word, we're hoping to edify the elect. Esau tries to throw out more water to distract your mind from the truth.
To drown you.
Exactly. Because as I said, there's only so many times you can say, don't listen to these guys, they're not telling the truth, don't listen to them. So he has to come with different angles. So one of his angles is with social media to overload your brain. So that's why you got these stupid TikTok clips about someone fucking finding an egg. Then the next thing will be someone watering in a plant. Next thing there'll be a dog running up, chasing a cat. All these fucking distraction shit, right? Because he's trying to stop you from receiving the word. Likewise, when you send your children to school, right? They're told to sit still, be quiet, and listen. Those are the 3 things they told me when I was a child at primary school. Sit still, be quiet, listen. So for 6 hours a day, your children are doing that. By the time they come home, what do you think they're going to want to do? Do you think they want to sit still? Do you think they want to be quiet? Do you think they want to listen? Right. No, they want to run around and play because they've been constrained for the whole day against the actual nature. Children want to be active. Children want to do stuff. Children want to run around, climb, ride bikes, explore.
And it said in verse 3 here, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy. Same thing.
Bring it out again from the top.
Right.
Go into it with water.
2 Timothy 2 verse 3. We're going to 3 now. No, 2. For men shall be lovers of themselves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy.
Right, so disobedient to parents. I brought this up before, but you know, there may be new listeners, so I'll bring it out again for edification's sake. When I was a child at school, I used to notice that the teachers, who were witches in the majority, most of them were women, and what did the scripture say? I suffer not a woman to teach, nor to use authority. I'd say like 85 of the teachers at my primary school were women, man. So, my point being is that when I was a child, I was very observant. I did listen to shit and I was watching, but not what they thought I was watching. I noticed that oftentimes these teachers, they would refer to their students as pupils. Oh, we have 30 pupils in this class. Oh, we've got 27 in this class. Okay, we're going to take the pupils to the back of the schoolyard and we're going to have an assembly. They'd refer to the children as pupils. So I actually went into it one day and I looked it up. What does the word pupil actually mean? The etymology of the word pupil actually means orphan child. So these teachers in the education system, they call these children pupils because they actually see them as orphan children. They're replacing the role of the parent. So that's why they sit your children at school for 6 hours a day, then afterwards you got to come home and do fucking homework. That's some fucking bullshit.
You're stressed out yourself because in the eyes of the state, they're the parents.
They are.
The state wants to take control of your children. That's why you have less and less control as the years go by.
I've got a precept, yeah?
Bring it out.
This is in Matthew 6 and 32 says, for after all these things do the Gentiles seek, for your heavenly Father knoweth that you have need of all these things. Yeah, here's the point. But seek ye first the kingdom of Yahweh and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. We was talking about in the last days, members who love themselves, yeah? Social media, YouTube, iPhone, another one just come to me. Selfie.
Yes.
Right? That's the lingo, that's the buzzword.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when people do selfies, the most I don't, I mean like, people die. If you go just tap on YouTube, people who die by selfies, that most I judges a lot of them.
Yeah.
Yeah? Go on, you can say
No,
that.
I can attest to that because I saw a story about one woman. She's very pretty. A lot of these women who do take selfies are pretty. And she was on a cliff trying to take a selfie. Guess what? The cliff crumbled and she dropped to her death.
So there's nothing wrong with looking, the scripture's saying that, yeah, you can do that. All these things that, you know, they're seeking, he knows you need them. A lot of the people, most of the things are the basic clothing, he knows what we need. But he's saying, seek the kingdom, man. So you're not putting yourself first, you're putting Yahweh Shai first. And he says that's what he's saying there. But seek ye first the kingdom of Yahweh and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. So yeah, he knows what we need, and for the most part, most of us ain't got much. Yeah. But we're seeking the Lord, even though we know we ain't got much. But that's the faith that we've got. So with this selfie, YouTube, iPhone, flipping what's the other one, selfie, YouTube, iPhone, what's the other one? Selfie, YouTube, iPhone, social media, everything. So you can say, right, I'm going to be self-sacrificing now. As soon as you get into your flesh, everything's telling you to get back to yourself. Everything's pointing back at you. That's where the spirit, the faith comes in, man.
Exactly. But you know what? It's because a lot of these people out here, they've got a plethora of demons on them, which make them love the things that attest to their flesh.
Yeah.
Like they've got demons on them that make them be self-centered, like as you were, lovers of themselves.
Self-centered, yeah.
You know, what do the scriptures say? A lot of these demons only go out through fasting and praying. Now that's why it's important to fast sometimes, because when you fast, you really realize a lot of the things I thought I needed in life, I don't really need.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's like going on a fast, it makes you more spiritual, and being worldly makes you more carnal. But these people will never fast. So therefore, all the demons that are in them are making them crave the things that attest to the flesh.
Yeah.
I've got a precept here. This is John. Brought it out before, bring it out again. 1 John 2:15. Love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him.
You know?
For all that is in the world, the lusts of the flesh and the lusts of the eyes. So Esau ties into a lot of that shit. He'll make you, wanna, go to these extravagant restaurants, to eat more than you normally would, to be gluttonous, to be carnal. So the lust of the flesh and the lust of the eyes. Like Esau always does that. What does he do? He does his advertising. You might have a watch, right? And the watch works perfectly fine. Then all of a sudden you're sitting there watching your tail line vision, and Esau shows this celebrity wearing this new watch, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I want to get that one. But you already got a watch. You don't need a new watch. You know what I mean? Or like a car. You'll be sitting there with a nice car. They show an advert of a nice car. Oh, I've got to get that now. So it's like your mind starts to crave it.
Consumerism.
Exactly, voracious consumerism. A society can't live like that because it prioritizes the wrong things. So a lot of these people out here, their priorities are all out of whack. Because what do they think? They believe the lies that Hollywood sells. Oh, if you wear this Armani suit, you get lots of girls. Or if you drive this sports car, you get lots of girls. People think that, oh, well, you know what? My value is attached to my possessions, rather than your value being attached to your integrity. You see, that's what makes a man valuable, his integrity, his faith to the Lord. Not what he's got in his pocket, not how much money is in his wallet. But people of the world, they're carnal.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, because look, you could have the money, the suit, the cars, and you could attract women. You can. But what sort of women are you attracting? The lowest of the low.
Yeah. Gold diggers.
No sense themselves. Gold diggers, like the brother just said, gold diggers, man. Because the majority of these women out here are wicked anyway, man. So what type of woman are you going to get? If you're attracting that kind of woman, it's going to just be the worst for you, man.
Exactly. You know the way I see it? It's like when a dog does a shit in the street on a hot day, what does it attract? Like,
Right.
Exactly. So all your riches, all your gold, and all your it's all rotten, and a lot of it's ill-gotten gains, because a lot of these people who do have money, they have to do deplorable things in order to get it. Look at a lot of these actors in Hollywood. Do you think they got to those positions by being upright and just? No, a lot of them had to do dirty backdoor deals to get to the positions that they're in. That's why a lot of them, like, they don't even want to look in the mirror, because they have to look at the things that they've done in order to get to where they got to. And you know what? Even when they get to where they got to, let's say they do become famous, a lot of them are unhappy, man.
Yeah, right.
A lot of them are miserable, and they die miserable.
Very unhappy.
That's why they take so many drugs, because they're trying to distract themselves from all this shit they know they had to do to get what they got, man. So that's, what did the scripture say? A little with righteousness. Let me get it. A little with righteousness. You got anything?
I had something. I was talking about going into the children.
Yeah, oh yeah, good.
This is Ephesians 6:1. It says, children, this is a quick one, obey your parents in the Lord. It says, obey your parents in the Lord, meaning what? Through the scriptures, man. That's why you're supposed to teach your child everything she's going into the word of the Lord, man. Verse 2 says, honor thy father and mother, which is the first commandment with promise. And it says, honor thy father and mother, not the reverse.
Yeah.
There's a hierarchy, there's a system, there's an echelon, there's an order of things.
That's right.
You know, you got the Most High, you got your Yahweh, you got the man, the woman, and the child.
Yeah, that's the divine order. But if I may speak to what you just said, Esau disrupts the order. Now I don't want to seem like I'm jumping around topics. I'll stay on this one a bit, right? The brother's talking about the righteous order, right? And I brought out that there was a talk show here in the UK where they were debating whether a mother wiping a baby's backside is child abuse, right? What are they trying to do? They're going to depower the parents and empower the children. That's why now they're pushing a lot of this agenda to where if a boy says he wants to wear a dress, now the parents can't say anything, they're supposed to support that. What is Esau doing? He's setting the child, giving the child more power over the parents.
That's beautiful. So that's because they're giving the power to the schools now. So your child can go to school and tell the teachers and the headmaster that they identify as this, that, and the other, and you don't, as a parent, don't have the right to know. So that's going back to what we're talking about, how they've given the parental guidance or the parental rule to the schools.
That's right.
To the state. But it always is, the minute you're born, that's how it already is, man.
That's right, but it's just got even more, it's become less insidious and more evident. Because this stuff was always going back. This stuff was always their intention, but it's become more evident as time has progressed. Now, on the point of these children, right? I remember back in my day, when I was a child, I'd get beat. There was no issue. I mean, if my parents, it was rare that my parents would smack me, but if it did happen, it was usually because I deserved it. And I remember in the early 90s, they started coming out and saying that parents are no longer allowed to smack their children. So what does that mean? When your child is no longer, when you're no longer able to discipline your child, the child becomes more rebellious. They become more emboldened to do what they want to do. You know, according to the law, if your child is rebellious, you can put your child to death. That's actually one of the laws according to the scriptures. Now, people in this world, they'll be like, oh, well, no, that's wrong. How can you kill a child? Well, guess what? Because a wicked child ends up becoming a wicked adult. So in order to dead that shit and to make children know that there's an order, that's why the laws are set up in place. Go ahead.
Proverbs 13 and 24. He that spareth his rod hateth.
Go on.
He that spareth his rod hateth his son. But he that loveth him chasteneth him betimes.
You see it?
That's right, you've got to discipline your child.
Got to discipline.
Right now, Esau stripped that power from the parents. And you know what happened? He took that power away. Early 90s. So then children are going to school, and the children aren't being disciplined at school. Guess what happens? Rather than children getting into squabbles and rather than children getting into confrontations and squabbles and settling the squabbles with their fists, they took it to the next level. So what did you start to see? You started to see more children walking around with knives, going to school with knives. So then what do you start to see? An increase in knife crime. And then what do you start to see after that? An increase in knife deaths. You can look back at the trajectory of this thing. In the late 80s, knife crime wasn't really a thing amongst the youth. In the late 70s, it wasn't really a thing. People would scrap to get into fights, they might get, a baseball bat or something. You weren't seeing people getting stabbed.
And when they had fights in those days, they just leave it there.
Exactly.
They didn't continue it. You know what I mean?
It would be settled, right?
It would be settled, yeah.
But now what do you got? You've got a lot of these children, they're walking around with knives that are like fucking the size of swords, ready to shank one another. Thinking, and that, where did that come from? That came from Esau stripping the power of the parents to discipline the children. Another aspect to this, go ahead. Now you're bringing up good points.
Yeah, because once it gets to that point where you've got these youngsters cutting each other open and stuff, and you hear look at the comments, there's usually something in some comment section somewhere saying, what were the parents doing? But the point is the parents haven't got the control. That's what we're saying. There's no control. It's all, your children are learning through their iPads, on the TikTok, on the Instagram, on the YouTube. That's what they're learning shit.
Yeah, that's right.
And the people that they're learning from don't have any morals, because they're looking at idols, but they're looking at superstar rappers and singers and actors and actresses.
Exactly.
Bullshit.
And it's a good point, because a lot of these people that these children are idolizing, these singers and these gangster rappers, a lot of them, they weren't even living that lifestyle. They rap about it, they sing about it, they act, because what are they? They're hypocrites, they're actors. They act the part and seduce the minds of the young people to think, this is my role model. Yeah, I gotta be like this guy, I gotta be hard. See, everybody wanna be hard, but these people are fucking marshmallows, man. They ain't hard. You see, it's like, when I was a little boy, my dad said to me, if you get into a fight, I don't want to hear about it unless you win. That's what my dad said to me, right? And he also said, if you're going to carry a weapon, if you're going to carry a knife, you've got to be prepared to use it. And you've got to be prepared for that person to use it on you. So my dad taught me some good lessons, because he said, like, if you walk around with a knife, right, you've got to be prepared to use it, or be prepared to have the other person use it on you. So that's why I don't walk with no weapon. I never walk with no weapon, because I'm like, no man, I don't need to. I've got my fists. I can fight my way with my fists. But children who don't have that confidence in their ability to defend themselves, they'll run to the next thing because they're scared. So a lot of these young jakes, they're really pussies, right? That's why they're running and getting a knife, because they know that in a hand-to-hand combat, they can't do it. So they have to get that extra protection. But guess what? It's not about the weapon, man. It's about the spirit of the Lord. If the Lord is with you, man, who can be against you?
But let me just add to what you were saying, because now the scripture says that the have to go, right? So they and in Hebrews 6, just to make a quick point, Hebrews 6 says that if you're not of his, you're well and truly bargain. So a lot of people that are in that circle, it's like the what do you call it? It's like the crab in the barrel. Now we just have to be glad that we're not in that, the crab in the barrel, because I haven't watched it for a long time, but I was watching it first 48. If you ever see that, it makes you, you get a lot of ideas, but then you realise how low the 2/3 really are, how the Most High really has got rid of it. He said he ain't nothing to do with them. So there was this guy, this what happened. There was this guy, he said that he was attempted to be robbed, right? The night before he was attempted to be robbed, right? And he said that he was with his little boy and he fought him off and they got away, right? He fought him off, they got away, and he said the next day he walked into the shop, he said he saw the robber in the shop. The guy was attempted to rob him in the shop. And this is in the Bronx over in America. And he said, he went up to the guy and said, what did you try and do yesterday? And the guy said, I should have killed you yesterday. You know what the guy did? This is where there's some people just don't mess about. The guy went out of the shop, he had a gun on him. So all on CCTV, everything, bearing in mind this is the crabs in a barrel spirit. Most High said, fuck the niggas. You understand? He went back in the shop and just went, blah, 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 blah.
This is the one that robbed.
The one that was attempting to get robbed and he pulled him off. Right? So he said, he was reasoning, and I was thinking in the spirit, like, let me just make this point. Put the gun away in the shop, and when he walked out the shop calmly. Right? So two things I learned from that. There's always someone willing to go take it there, worse than you. Yeah. To your point, you're gonna, if you're gonna do it, if you're gonna be about it, or leave it alone. Now, he did that for self-defense. Now, but you still have to suffer now. He's gonna go to the court system. The Most High could have mercy on him, but he's under the jurisdiction of the law, of the judges. Now, the Most High couldn't have mercy on him because he says that because you defend yourself, you probably get a lighter sense of manslaughter.
Well, just to clarify,
the
person who was the victim
shot him the night before. The victim,
he's the shooter.
Yeah, they attempted to rob him. Now, he said when they interviewed him in the cross-examination, the guy, the police officer said, this is what happened. He said, well, the night before they tried to rob me with my child, my boy. So when he walked in the shop and he saw the guy attempting to rob him, I know what I'm talking about. I've been in that circle in the world. He saw the guy, he said he wasn't going to let him walk out the shop. If they see him again, he's thinking against himself. He went back into the shop, he said, I'm going to end it now. Street justice. Yeah. End of story. Now, that was street justice. Scriptures go into about how you deal with certain things. And
it's a manslaughter.
Right. So anyway, cut long story short, the police officer said to him, okay, black cat, when he went and put him into the van, he said, good luck, good luck. The police saw, they know what's going on, but because you're in that circle, you can't just get out of it. The Most High has to get you out of that. Like, hence why some brothers have been in that circle and got out of it. If the Most High don't get you out of it, you ain't getting out unscathed in one way or another. You understand what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying.
That was his judgment.
Huh?
That was his judgment.
Yeah, both of them.
Him slapping him.
Yeah, slapping him.
Judgment and him. They have to take it. I've got a quick one
for
that. Proverbs 12:21 says, there shall no evil happen to the just, but the wicked shall be filled with mischief. And that's mischief. They're out there, like you said, the 2/3 out there. There's no light in them.
That's right.
All they're bringing about is their own demise.
Yeah, that's what you said there. There's no light in them. And the Most High, now they think they've got light in them, but that's the strong delusion. If you think you're going to do a robbery and get, you think this is what the Most High will do to you. He will make you think you've done it and you've got away with it. And everything's crisp and everything. Nah. Next thing you know, the door getting kicked off.
Yeah.
See, I know people are still in that circle and they ain't getting out of it. And I wouldn't go nowhere near them. Let the Most High deal with them.
And remember, the law, statutes, and commandments, they're for Israel. So when we're breaking it, it's worse. Yeah, because we know better. We're supposed to know better. We know better.
Yeah, and yeah, we get it when we scriptures talk about 7 times more. That's in Genesis 7, Genesis 4.
There's actually laws on these issues. It's
Yeah.
quite a long one, but Numbers 35, starting at verse 9, it's a long one, but I'll get to the point. And Yahweh spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, When ye come over the Jordan into the land of Canaan, then ye shall appoint cities to be the cities of refuge for you, that the slayer may flee thither, which killeth any person unawares. So let's say you got a daughter, right? And she's out one day walking down the road, and someone knocks her over with a car and kills her accidentally, right? The law is life for life, right?
Yeah.
But there's actually in the law supposed to be cities where this person can flee
You got
to.
refuge.
There you go. So it says that you shall appoint, Numbers 35:11, then you shall appoint for you cities to be cities of refuge for you, that the slayer may flee thither, which killeth any person unawares. And they shall be unto you cities for refuge from the avenger. So let's say, for example, the daughter died, the father would want to avenge the life of his daughter. So if he finds this person, like for example, this person that you mentioned bumped into this guy in the shop, right? He would avenge himself. So the law says, right? Go ahead.
I was going to say, because that's preventing the injustice, you know, because if you've done, like, what did it say about killing someone once up?
Unawares,
right?
yeah.
So you might be judged differently because you didn't mean to do it. It's not exactly, you didn't murder someone.
Yeah.
So you have to have that opportunity to state your case, regardless of what the outcome is going to be. You know, the street, otherwise we're talking about street justice.
That's
Yeah.
what it is, that's what it is. Yeah.
Right? Good point, Al. So it says, Numbers 35:12, and they shall be unto you cities for refuge from the avenger, that the manslayer die not until he stand before the congregation in judgment. And these cities which you shall give, six cities shall you have for refuge. Now jumping down, let me read on verse 15. These 6 cities shall be refuge for both the children of Israel and for the stranger and for the sojourner among them, that everyone that killeth any person unawares may flee thither. And if he smite him with an instrument of iron, so that he die, he is a murderer, and the murderer shall surely be put to death. And if he smite him with a stone, whereof he may die, and he die, he is a murderer, and the murderer shall surely be put to death. Or if he smite him with a hand weapon of wood, whereof he may die, he is a murderer, and the murderer shall surely be put to death. And the revenger of blood himself shall slay the murderer. When he meeteth him, he shall slay him.
Yeah.
Now there's the point. The revenger of blood himself shall slay him when he meets him.
Yeah.
So you never know. Man's goings are of the Lord.
Yeah.
So it could be the case, like you said, you might do some shit to someone, and you might have gotten away with it. But the Most High has it to where you're in a situation you buck up on this person, and then the judgment comes. So that's what happened there. If I may use a similar testament, I was watching a video one time. Now this is the case that happened years ago. There was a man who had a son, and his son used to like to play football. And one day the son finished playing football, and there was a fucking paedophile sitting near the football pitch watching, and he offered to give the boy a lift home. And the boy, he's like, oh, where do you live? So the child was ignorant. He told the guy, oh, I live down there. She's like, oh, come in, I'll give you a lift. So what would happen is, over time, the paedophile would sit outside the football pitch.
Did the guy get in the car? The little guy?
The little boy, yeah, he didn't know. He just thought the guy was being helpful. So the guy was grooming him. Every day he'd sit there and say, oh yeah, come on, I'll give you a lift home. And over time, the boy got used to getting in this man's car. Now eventually this man started to molest the child, buy the child gifts, you know, and he started to do sexual things with the boy.
It's a true story.
True story, yeah. So what happened is the boy started getting molested, and he didn't say anything at first. Eventually the dad found out, right? And the boy had been really abused.
He wasn't a jet, was it?
No, he looked like an Edomite.
You saw the guy?
Yeah, it's not one of them.
Glad he weren't a
crime
Jake.
things.
Yeah, yeah.
You're on true crime things, right?
Yeah.
So eventually the dad found out that the boy had been being molested by this guy. But the guy fled. He fled away and he got away, or so he thought. The dad didn't let it go. He tracked the guy down. And what happened is, it's one of them things where it's caught on camera. The dad done his own detective work, tracked down where the guy was, went to an airport now. And the teacher was, I think it was a teacher as well, He was walking through the airport and the dad pretended he was on the phone. And as the guy walked past, he pulled out a gun, shot him in the head. And it was caught on camera. And they arrested the dad. And when the story came out, it was on the news and everything. It's one of them things where death was caught on live TV sort of thing. The dad didn't go to prison because when they heard the testimony of how much the boy had been abused and everything, and that the guy had fled from justice, the dad tracked him down and he slayed the man. So it goes back to what I'm saying is that the Most High can have it to where you might think you've done a crime and got away with it, but in time the Most High might have you buck up on the person that you've wronged, and judgment will come. So that's the point I have on that. Does anybody have any precepts? Nobody got anything else to agree with?
And it's always very dangerous to be in that circle in the first place, which is not of your own, but you know, anyway, let me bring this precept out and then get back to where we was before. Isaiah 8 and 19 says, and when they shall say unto you, seek unto them that have familiar spirits, and unto wizards that peep, that mutter, should not a people seek unto their God, for the living to the dead. Yeah, is that clear? Yeah. 20 says, and the law and the testimony of they speak not according to this word, it is because there is no light in them.
Right. Do you want to break it down and then I'll get back to it?
No, you can break it down.
Right, so if they speak not according to this word, it's because there is no light in them. Now, going back to the original point that we were talking about is the discipline of children, and how the lack of discipline has caused generation after generation to get worse in terms of rebellion and violence and witchcraft. Because what is witchcraft? Rebellion is as a sin of witchcraft. So when you've got a child that's rebellious, he's essentially a witch. He might not be walking around looking like a fucking, wearing all black and having painted fingernails and a wide brim hat and wide broomstick, but he's still a witch, right? So, and that's another thing they push hard in the schools, witchcraft. When I was a little boy in the 80s, they had these books in the school called Megan Mogg. Yeah, and that was there when I was a fucking really young child. Oh yeah, read these books. This is storybooks. You'll read about some fucking rock-nosed Edomite looking Megan and stupid cat Rob doing witchcraft. And you know, well, this is just for children. What is it doing? It's introducing children to familiar ideas of familiar spirits and other concepts, other than the fact that, you know what, you're supposed to stay on the side. You're not supposed to get into astrology and divination and enchantments and all that kind of shit. It normalized it for children. On the TV, what would they put? Rock bags and Emu. You know what I'm saying? What's another witch? Nowadays it's Harry Potter, but this has been a progressive thing. Look, man, they're Harry Potter. I don't even read the books, man. Like, it's all bullshit. You know, the reason why they blog, oh yeah, J.K. Rowling is this great writer, blah, 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 blah. No, man. It's just because it's pushing witchcraft for the children. And the children, they sit there and they read it. And they get indoctrinated into it. But back to my point, the other facet of Esau's scheme was taking the fathers out of the house. See, because when boys are raised by their mummies, they become fucking thugs, man. Thugs and wayward misfits. Because they're not really learning how to be men. See, you need a man to teach a man how to be a man. Because you know what? A man is supposed to be accountable. And if there's one thing that women love, it's dodging accountability. So all the time now, when you see on the news about this boy got stabbed to death or that boy got shot or whatever, you see the mum on the news crying, why did this happen? He's a good boy, all this kind of shit. They weren't good boys, man. Because what did the scriptures say in Job? Whoever perished being innocent, or where were the righteous cut off? So if these children are being put to death, a lot of times it's because they're moving in the wrong circles. And a lot of these times, these mothers don't even know what their children are into. For one hand. They don't even know what their children are into, man. Like you said, they're on the TikTok, they're on this. Hey, there's another funny story. I saw another funny story. There was one Jake boy in America, right? And he actually ended up shooting himself on the head on social media because he was on live streaming and he had a gun, right? Now, I can't remember how he got the gun, but the mother didn't know he had it. All she heard was a boom upstairs. She went up and the boy was dead. he was basically on social media, on his Facebook, boasting to his other friends like, yeah, I got a gap. Yeah, I got it, right? And he's playing around with it, but the safety catch was on, and he shot himself in the head. Now, the mother was crying saying, oh, he was a good boy, but hang on a minute. Why is he posting on social media that he's got a piece to his friends trying to look all hard and shit? See, the mothers don't really know what their children are into, man. And I'm going to use my own family as an example. Like my aunties and shit with their like their grandsons or whatever. Oh, he's a good boy. He never do anything wrong. But he's getting suspended from school. Now, I can sit there and talk to them and they're like, oh, the school's lying, they made it up, they've got false evidence. Like I had a cousin myself, he got arrested up in central London. This is years ago, the early 2000s. He got arrested in the early 2000s because he was apparently purse snatching in central London. My mum busts in the room. Oh, he's been arrested. The police have made it up. They've planted evidence on him and blah 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 blah. I was like, Mum, no. And she's like, oh, but the police they're making up a story and they're saying all these things. They're telling lies about him. I'm like, Mum, I know him. I know him better than you and Auntie know him. Like, I know what he's into. I know the guys he's moving with, and I know that the police ain't got no evidence on him. He's literally doing those muggings, man. I knew this because I'm not obviously. I was of the same age range and I knew social circles and stuff, but the woman will be in denial. Oh, that's my little boy, he can't do no wrong, you never hurt a fly. Yeah, that's how he acts when he's in the house, but what about when he's out? What about when he's with his friends? What about when he's smoking fucking marijuana behind the bike sheds with his boys at school? Trying to look all hard and shit. And I want to get into this hardness rubbish, right? Because a lot of the things that young men aspire to these days is to be hard, or to be seen as hard. That's why these straight walk around scrupulous. It's like, who are you looking at? Like, it's like you could be walking down the road and someone's like looking at you funny, and they're wondering why you're looking back at them funny because you're looking at them funny. And they're so fucking emotional, they can't even be like, oh, that's another person. That's just how he looks. They see it as, oh, why is he undermining me? Like, they've got some pride thing, and that it really comes back to pride.
What are you looking at another man for?
Yeah. It's emotions and it's pride, and a lot of these young men have never been taught that in order to be a man, you've got to take L sometimes. See, nobody wants to take that L. Everybody wants to be like, oh, he's disrespecting me, so I'm going to do something to him. Like, really, sometimes you have to suffer wrongfully in this street. Yeah, you're going to get disrespected. Yeah, you're going to be made to look a fool sometimes.
Yeah, because if you have a man, if you've got a father in the house, right, there's going to come a time where you'll get to an age where you're starting to feel like you're coming into your own man, and then between you and your father, or whoever's the man of the house, there's a low level of violence there.
Hello. You don't need to film us. Huh? But I'm just saying you don't need to. You don't need to.
Hurry up. Ignore him.
Carry on doing. Right, go do it.
Being sneaky. Yeah, so there's a low level threat of violence between them. That's why these jakes that get brought up in the houses without women, they're not taught that. They're taught that they can run their mouths, say what they want, and there's no consequences. Like the brother said, these women don't have accountability. But as men, especially in this truth, we have to be accountable for our actions. The scriptures teach it. So that level of violence that you're not taught when you're brought up by a woman.
Yes.
You take that into the streets.
Exactly.
You think you can walk around doing what you want, not understanding what the next man can do to you.
Exactly.
Not understanding that you might think you're this, that, and the other, but there's always someone bigger and badder than you.
Exactly. And if they had a father in the house, they would learn that. And what comes from that fair respect? So you wouldn't go around intentionally disrespecting other men, because you would learn to respect your father. So when you're dealing with the next man now, see, this brings balance to the kingdom, balance to the nation. When two boys have been brought up in a way where they respect their fathers and they meet, they can settle their disagreements in a more reasonable manner. It doesn't have to escalate to level 10 straight away. Like, for example, you're walking down the road and sometimes someone might step on your trainers, like, oh, what? You just cruise my creps, man, what? And it's like, dude, you're going from level 1 to level 10 in terms of anger over someone accidentally stepping on your trainers. And again, that comes from pride. Why are you so vain to think that, oh yeah, I've got my Jordans on. Not Jordans, but you know, a lot of JK's Jordans. I've got my Jordans on, and like if they get a little bit dirty or someone creases them, that's a massive affront. No, it's not a massive affront, it's an accident. So boys need to know perspective, and women don't really deal with perspective because a woman's role is to be emotional. That's a woman's nature. And I'm not knocking that because that's how women are built to be. They're the weaker vessel. But it takes a man to be upright and to have integrity and to be disciplined. Now here's a precept, right? This is Sirach 2, starting at verse 1. My son, if thou come to serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptation. Set thy heart aright, meaning set your mind aright, and constantly endure, and make not haste in times of trouble. Cleave unto him, and depart not away, that thou mightest be increased at thy last end. Whatsoever is brought upon thee, take cheerfully, and be patient when thou art changed to a lower state. For gold is tried in the fire, and acceptable men in the furnace of adversity. So that scripture teaches the young man, right? Be patient. Yes, you're going to go through ups and downs in life. You're going to take some L's, but be patient. Don't sell yourself short. Don't lose your integrity. See, that's what makes a man a man. When you can go through some shit, right? You can get knocked and buffeted and ridiculed, but you know what he doesn't lose? He might lose his money. He might lose his woman. He might lose his job. He might lose his reputation. But so long as a man does not lose his integrity, that man is still intact.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because as I said before, this world teaches you that your value is somehow based upon material things. Like, oh, what shirt he's got, what car he's got, what shoes he's got. That's all carnal, perishable, material shit. But you know what can't perish? Is a man's integrity. If a man can retain his integrity, even through hardships, that shows he's a real man.
Precept, yeah?
Bring it out.
This is in Deuteronomy 28, 54. Going back to, you know, what's going on right now. Yeah? 54 says, so that a man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eye shall be evil toward his brother and toward his wife of his children, toward his wife his bosom, and toward the remnant of his children which he shall leave. Now these are under that, the world predominantly is under that curse, heavily. When you come into the truth, when you're aware of it, you start to see that you was under that curse. I mean, yeah, and you know, you got a future. It wasn't supposed to be like that. Your eye would no longer be with your brother. And you know, same with the women. The women, their eyes, we understand that very well. And we know that that's because they're heavily under that curse. So if they come into the truth, you know, forget the ones that ain't gonna come in. When they come into the truth, the ones that come into the truth, they start to understand that, and they no longer feel that heavy, because it's a burden. It's a burden. It's feeling that you have to cut your eye and show that, you know, be evil towards your brother and he's evil towards you. It's a burden. And now when we're in the world and we see them doing that, you know, they might, you know, we know what they're under that. They're under that. They're under that darkness. They're in that darkness. So like you say, when we see it, we don't even, you know, I usually have my headphones and I'm in another world when I'm walking around anyway. I don't pay them no mind, you know. You got
to say that none of us never done that.
Yeah.
Let's be honest about that. But you know, we have to understand that, you know, we're different. We're new men. I'm gonna read this. Yeah, this is Psalms 1:1. It says, "Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law doth he meditate day and night. And he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that bringeth forth his fruit in his season. His leaf also shall not wither, and whatsoever he doeth shall prosper." So what's that telling you? It's telling you that through the scriptures, through the word, this is how we become a man.
That's right.
It's the only way to really become a man, is through the scriptures. It talks about that river, the waters, the scriptures, man. And not withering. Not folding, man. We're not scared of nothing out here, man. And that's not to be boastful. That's because of the Lord.
Yeah.
It's because we believe in Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. That's that. and that prosper and the prospering comes later, man.
That's a good point. And you see, that takes endurance and faith. Two key components to being His truth. See, look, man, faith and endurance go hand in hand. You're not going to endure something if you don't believe in it. So you need to have that faith to believe that, you know what, although I've changed to a lower state now, my end is going to be greater because I've got a power that I serve, and it's not going to leave me short. But you see, children aren't being taught faith. They're being taught the complete opposite at school. These schools are teaching these children that, yeah, you can be what you want. Yeah, just get these grades, go uni and get this qualification and get that job. It's all about you. It's all about you. It's not about how you can serve the Lord better. Really, if these schools are of any worth, they'll be teaching our nation how they can serve the Lord better. And they're not set up to do that because they don't want Israel to know that we've got a higher power. Now the scripture says in Proverbs 16 verse 7, when a man's ways please Yahweh, He maketh even his enemies to be at peace with him. So getting into this worldly, carnal shit about, oh, I've been wronged, so I'm going to get my own back now, I'm going to get a knife and shank this guy because he offended me. That's you trying to fucking save your ego and your pride. Really, sometimes you've got to take those L's, and if your ways please the Lord, you know what? You're going to avoid all that trouble because the Most High is going to keep you away from that. He's going to have angels protecting you, not letting you get fucked up or jacked over. But the reasons why these niggas are dying is because they're ungodly, man.
Yeah.
So the angels of death are out there to bring judgment upon you.
Yeah, appreciate it. I've got one. Have you got one?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm on
After you.
Proverbs 16 and 18 says, pride goeth before destruction,
Yes,
and an haughty spirit before a fall. Better it is to be of an humble spirit, the lowly, than to divide the spoils of the proud.
That's a good precept because that says a lot of things. You might know, I'm kind of speaking hypothetically here. I'm speaking hypothetically using situations. But like, for example, you read that precept again? I'll break it down.
Proverbs 16:18. Pride goeth before destruction, and an haughty spirit before fall. Better it is to be of an humble spirit with the lowly than to divide the spoil with the proud.
Right, so pride, it all starts with pride, the pride of life. Now let's say you could be hanging around with a group of guys. Yeah, let's go and jack this shop, or let's jack this guy when he comes around the corner, right? You can steal from that guy, and what you're going to do is divide the spoils amongst yourselves. What did he say? It's better to be of a humble and lowly spirit than to divide the spoil with the proud. Like, it's better to have little than to have a lot gotten by ill-gotten gains.
Right.
You had one, Aria?
Yeah, this is in 2 Timothy chapter 1 and 6 says, wherefore I put thee in remembrance. Oh, this is the Apostle Paul speaking to the young man Timothy, which was a young man in the truth. Wherefore I put thee in remembrance that they stir up the gift of Yahweh which is in thee, by putting on of my hands. For God hath not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. Yeah, because a sound mind, it helps you to read and to see things clearly. Now, when someone comes up, I use that example at the time. Just go 43.
I said I could. Are you got your shot?
Okay, why you feel? So when I said, yeah, right, and then he said, why you feel? Now you can ask somebody, right? You can ask somebody, but if they
that's the same one.
they insist, you let them do it. All I was doing was asking. You understand? We can ask. Now when I saw that some people do it, they want to be confrontational. When you see that they want to be confrontational, you close the door to the confrontation. You just yield. And I yield. Yeah, you know. But when they insist, because they're, as we know, they're of the world, they're in the dark. We're the ones to take the example.
Yeah.
We yield.
Yeah, that's a good point. See, it's not all about I've got to get the win all the time. Sometimes you've got to take the lows and let the Lord do with it. So I like, you know, it's quite straightforward. There's a point I wanted to make though, because I was talking about pride and shit, right? A lot of these problems that people, a lot of the problems in life come from pride, and that goes back to what I was saying before about voracious commercialism. Because another thing that Esau's done to destroy the youth of our people is that he puts these adverts on TV, or he puts these rappers or these singers in these positions where they're wearing all these designer clothes and this expensive jewelry. And a lot of Jacob come from broken homes, very economically impoverished. And they're saying their favorite celebrities wearing all these nice clothes, driving these flashy cars, and they realize, you know what, man, there's no way I can ever get that. The only way I can get that is to rob and steal. So Esau does it on purpose. He makes these rappers go on TV be flashing their chains and shit because he wants the youth to have that desire and that lust for to obtain these things, knowing full well that they're not in an economic possession to ever obtain those things through going through this sort of system. So therefore he creates more thugs and purse snatchers and robbers through doing these things. It's all by desire, man. Esau is a cunning hunter.
I think you got something.
You got it.
People are lonely, so they just want to find any excuse to shake the leg. You know, people are walking around and saying, there's something over there. As you say, it's like the bandwagon effect. People just jump on the bandwagon.
Well, just to finish on that point, the Most High set up.
Yeah, this is the charge.
The Most High set up prophets to instruct the people in the right way. So really, you know, a lot of these people who are in positions to influence, they call them social media influencers and stuff, they're not really set up to influence people in any positive way. The Most High set up prophets to do that. So really, it's all about coming back to the word of the Lord. And to touch upon what you were saying there, Ari, about that guy who come up. He's irrelevant.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we're in a position where we've got wayward spirits going up and down. It's inevitable that someone's going to come up and try and distract from the word going out. So sometimes you just got to...
Yeah, well, what just happened was actually
He apologised.
the icing on the cake, because what I did, something touched him inside on the spirit, and you said, when the Most High pleads with you, make it enemies at peace with you. Someone said, sorry, I disrespect you. Yeah? But that's even, I'm just saying it because it could be good for someone who may be listening. You know?
You know what it is as well? The proof is in the pudding. We're standing there, we're not saying anything wicked. We're speaking out the scriptures, man. And like we read earlier, it can't be gainsayed, man.
No man can
You can't
gainsay or
gainsay
resist.
that. What are you going to say to us? We're not out here doing anything wicked.
And this is the funniest thing, because we're actually being constructive towards our nation. A lot of the actions that a lot of these young chicks are doing, they're actually destructive and keeping the nation destroyed. For example, living into the curse of Deuteronomy 28, a man's eye shall be evil towards his own brother. Those are all things that help keep the nation destroyed. But when we're coming together now, working together as brothers, trying to rebuild our nation, all of a sudden everybody's got a problem with it. Like, why is it such a problem that you've got so-called niggers standing in the park talking out the scriptures? Why is this a problem? The reason why it's a problem is because of what the word represents for Esau's kingdom. What we represent is the downfall of his kingdom, because we're exposing the lies of this man's society. And like I said earlier, a lie has to be refashioned and refabricated every so often. A lie can't sustain itself. Eventually there comes a point where the truth will destroy the lie. So that's why Esau has to pump so many distractions, so much folly out there to distract the minds of the people from ever receiving the truth.
And I'm going to read this here, because when the kingdom comes, man, when we're in our rightful position, these heathens are going to come. I'm not saying he's the heathen, he might not be, but these heathens are going to come to us to learn the truth of Yahweh. This is Micah 4:2. It says, and many nations, I'll just get to the point, shall come and say, come and let us go up to the mountain of the Lord and to the house of the Most High and to the house of the power of Jacob, and he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For the Lord shall go forth from Zion, and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. So
we're going to be the example to the nations.
And he knew that. That's what called him in his spirit. That's why he had to apologize.
Well, let it be a blessing unto him. At least he was able to be a man and admit when he done wrong. And again, that's what being a man's about. Being a man isn't about being right all the time. Being a man is being able to acknowledge and admit when you're wrong. I'm going to use a great example, man. Lord willing, I'm going to do a video about this. I keep saying I'll do a video. But this thing that captivated my mind recently, something like a story that I keep looking at is this Titan explosion. Yeah, the Ocean Gate Titan implosion. You know, you had that company that was run by that Edomite called Stockton Rush, rich, wealthy Edomite. The sub. And you had basically people working on his team who he fired because they told him that his vessel wasn't up to scratch, man. So what did he do? He fired their asses and put lawsuits against him that they couldn't speak about it. Lo and behold, what happens? Everything they said that sub was incapable of doing and that it would not meet the requirements of that pressure level at that depth, the thing ended up imploding with his ass on it. Now what led him to that? It was pride. You see, because Esau is always proud. They think that their money can they think, oh well, I'm so rich that nothing can ever happen to me because I'm rich. But your money doesn't profit you when it comes to dealing with the Lord, man. The Most High is not a respecter of persons. He doesn't give a shit how wealthy or poor you are. It's about who you are as a man. Now, as I said, being a man is being able to admit and acknowledge when you're wrong. And that's where strength comes from. Because sometimes you do need someone to say to you, hey, you know what, man, what you're doing, maybe there's a better way of doing it. Or maybe what you're doing is not really a good way. If you're always surrounding yourself by yes men, eventually you're going to come into trouble because you can't sustain yourself that way. So back to talking about training up a child in the way he should go. There's so many core and fundamental lessons about being a man that are totally being not met by the society. Like the education system, they're not going to teach you how to be a man. You're not going to go to university and learn how to be a man. You're going to learn how to be a fool. That's why when we get men come up now to the camp who are somewhat esteemed in Esau's system, like they've got the qualifications, they've got the good job, they come up to this truth now and they think they're better than the truth. Because they don't want to humble themselves and admit, you know what, man, maybe I need to unlearn what I learned in order to learn the truth. That becomes a stumbling block for a lot of people receiving this word. Any precepts?
Yeah.
You see what it is when you lose the yeah. I'll tell you what, if you go slow, just charge.
You can tell the direction of a society when you look at this youth. Yeah, you can tell the direction of society is going when you look at the mindset of the young people. A lot of the young people that you see going to these colleges and universities, man, what have they got? Fucking purple and green hair, you know, piercings all over their face and shit, you know, looking like goths and all this kind of madness. These youth are destroyed, man. And it's all by design because Esau knows that by destroying the minds of the people, he can extend his rulership. Because while people are busy worrying about the non-important issues in life, about folly shit, he's there planning how he's going to further enslave your asses with his chip. So that's why we're blessed in the sense that we can see these things aforetime. Because the things that are written aforetime are written for our learning. So we can see the direction that this society is going. We've got the prophecies to back us up. So we can see how to avoid the pitfalls that are to come.
Yeah, Titus 2:1. It says, but speak thou the things which become sound doctrine, that the aged men be sober, grave, temperate, sound in faith, in charity, in patience. And these are all the things that are
masculine qualities.
Qualities. These are the things that are qualities of a man, alright? Especially patience.
If I may just speak to that point for a second. That's a very important skill that a young man needs to learn. Like, it's not all about what you've got to say. Sometimes you need to learn to listen before you learn to speak. In fact, it's more important to learn to listen before you learn to speak. Because sometimes when rebuke cometh, and it will come, everybody got something to say. Rather than like, you know what, maybe I was wrong. Because a lot of men in the world, they'll see that as what do they call it these days? Wet, moist, soft. And a lot of these young guys, they don't want to be seen as wet, moist or soft because they associate those qualities with failure. And they think that being hard all the time is the way to go. It's not. As a man, sometimes you just got to keep quiet and reason on things. like, don't be so quick to speak all the time. Like, for example, let's say you're doing something that's going off. My brother, like, doing anything. No, man, no. The denial thing. Again, that's a more feminine trait. As I said, women dodge accountability. Men are supposed to take accountability. Go ahead.
Listen, a real man, I will say like this, knows when he's going off. You know, if you don't know when you should be doing better, then you're not a man. Because the scriptures say what?
Roughly paraphrase. Man. Examine yourself.
Exactly. Examine yourself daily. Because we go by what the Lord says, we go by the word, so that's how we gauge in what we're doing, if what we're doing is right. So we're supposed to examine ourselves, because we know in this kingdom, none of us are perfect. We're prone to going off in these carnal bodies. But as men of the Lord, we judge ourselves. We can't be judging everybody else if we're not judging ourselves first.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
And we're actually called to be judges. So if we're going to be judges, you've got to be able to. Actually, it goes deeper, but just to make the point, you've got to be a man of your own household, and your own household first and foremost. Yourself. Self-examination.
Yeah, bring it up. This is Job chapter 9, verse 20. If I justify myself, mine own mouth shall condemn me.
That's right.
If I say I am perfect, it shall also prove me perverse.
So yeah, read it again.
This is the book of Job chapter 9 and 20. If I justify myself, mine own mouth shall condemn me.
Right, so that's a good point. As I say, a lot of times when a man, I'm going to say a young man, because we're talking about the qualities which make a real man. A young man will be quick to justify himself, like, no man, I'm not wrong, and blah, 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 blah. Quick to talk back, quick to backchat, rather than actually accepting the rebuke that may be coming their way. You know what? Rebuke ain't even a big deal. It's only a big deal when you're proud, because you don't want to look like you're weak or wet or moist or soft or whatever they call it. You don't want to be seen to be that way. But you know what? When you throw your pride out the fucking window, all that shit goes. You no longer care about, oh, how does this person see me or that person see me. Really, you're thinking about how should I see me? And if I try to justify myself, what will the Lord think about me? Am I going to be a liar in His sight? Read people.
It says, if I say I am perfect, it shall also prove me perverse.
Yeah.
Is there more to that?
Yeah, because look, we can't, as I already said, we can't be perfect. Only one man was perfect, and that was Yahweh Shai.
And even he went off in his past lives.
Exactly.
And he acknowledged it. He knew that he had to go through what he had to go through for what he done in his past lives. Because the prophecy said regarding Solomon, roughly paraphrasing, if he transgressed, he shall be beaten with many stripes. That never happened in that lifetime. So in order for that to be fulfilled, Yahweh had to come back. And when he came back, he was in his lot paying for the sins he'd done right back, going back to when he was Adam. That's why it was so brutal, harsh, severe, and intense. But what did Yahweh do? Did he be like, but no, you know, try and make excuses to get out of it? No. He knew he had to go through it. And we likewise, we have to carry our cross in the same way he did. So when we go off, we have to admit it and be like, you know what, man? Micah 7 and 9, I say it all the time. I say it all the time, man, Micah 7 and 9. I will bear the indignation of the Lord because I have sinned against him. So we have to pay for what we've done, man. If this brother doesn't sin, he has to pay for it. If this brother doesn't sin, you have to pay for what you do, man. And there's the Most High is a power that works in balance. Every action has a reaction. So the scales have to be balanced. So the Most High is a just judge. And the scriptures do say He's punished us less than our sins deserve. Because really we should all be dead right now.
But through the grace that is bestowed upon us, we're able to be out there and to do this work in order to try and teach our people a better way to be.
If he didn't send you Howard Shy, he wouldn't be dead. That's the point, because obviously we're not here to rinse grace, man. We can't rinse out grace, but we have that. We can, if we do go off, when we go off, we can beg the Most High through Howard Shy for forgiveness.
If I may just publish something from that. And that's a good point, because we're not supposed to rinse grace, because the grace that was bestowed upon us was obtained at a very high price, being the price of Howard Shy's blood. So it's not something to be taken for granted.
We're speaking about not talking that basically down, right? Isaiah 53:7, he was oppressed and he was afflicted, yet he opened not his mouth.
Beautiful.
He is brought as a lamb to the slaughter, and as a sheep before her shearers is dumb, so he openeth not his mouth.
That's a beautiful precept, and you know what? That's a good precept for brothers to meditate on, because you can avoid a lot of trouble by applying what the Howard Shy did there. Like, if you, I'll use an example. At the other camp, the midweek camp, I was with Elder Dawada. A lot of things go on around there that often aren't caught on camera. There was one point when I was out there on Thursday, while the elder was teaching, a man came up and he stuck his face like right in the camera, like he's like looking right in the camera. And I applied the scriptures. I remember the scripture, it says, a soft answer turneth away wrath. I just said to the guy, "You alright there, mate?" And immediately he goes and walks off. Now, if I'd have been like, "What the fuck you doing, man? Get out!" You know, what would that have stirred up? So again, these are skills of manhood, because being a man isn't always knocking another man on the floor.
When I got here, I got off the bus and I went to the Tesco to get a drink. And I went to the self-service thing, paid for the drink. And I always get the receipt, because we're living in Esau's that we're looked upon a certain way, so I took the receipt. And as I was walking out, I get a tap on my shoulder. This young Jake who's marshalling the checkout. He tapped me on the shoulder. I said, "Can you come back this way?" I took my headphones out. I said, just ask him a question. He said, I'm getting payment. So I just pulled out the receipt. Now, a lot of Jake's
What? Yeah.
saying I see
Yeah.
all that bullshit, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, throwing things off the fucking shelf and shit, making a big Exactly. Jake do that because Jake think that. I'm glad you brought that out, because I even saw it myself a couple months ago. I was in Tesco and a woman didn't get her something she wanted. It was a Jake woman, and she was shouting down the shop to everybody down, and she's screaming and going on. You'd have thought someone had just killed one of her children, man, the way she's carrying on over some fucking trivial bullshit, which wasn't even an issue, but they make a big deal. Like, so the example you gave there is a beautiful testimony, because a younger man, a less disciplined man, could have taken an offense at that. And you know what's ironic? That it was Jake who stopped him. And you know the scripture says a man's eye should be evil towards his brother.
Yeah.
See, if a Jake gets stopped by an Edomite shop assistant, they'll be all humble and cool. But when another Jake, what's this nigga got problem for? You know what I'm saying? That stirs up that curse, man, because the curse is still heavily at work.
In James chapter 1 and 16 says, 19 says, "Wherefore, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath."
Read that again, because that's a very important point.
James 1 and 19 again. "Wherefore, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath." Now, what just come to me is in the courthouse, right? Even today, the injustice. The judge can't just, dish out sentence. First of all, he's got to hear, the clientele, and he's got to listen, whoever's in front of him. Then he's got to listen to the prosecutor and then the defendant. He's got to do a lot of listening, which we know is all fucking bullshit anyway. But I'm just saying, you even see that in the injustice system. The judge don't do a lot of talking. When it comes down to it, he does all all the listening, and then at the end you just slam the judgment, you know, pass the judgment. So that's a lot of assessment. And you mentioned about when you're at the water, and that happens all over in all camps. You know, sometimes you just can't help but notice what's going on around. You know, because the brothers are just doing what they're doing. You know, but the spirit's always active. So you've got to be observant, man. You've got to listen to, you know, brothers have situations going on in there. You might hear the first thing a brother might say when you come to camp. You can't. What are you late for? He's going to tell you, and you're going to listen. You know, so brothers have things happen for a reason, for the most part. Not everybody's like malicious, you know. There's always, I think, a story behind things. So that's, you know. So that's why, I read it again. James chapter 1:19, and then I say this too. Not everybody tells everybody, you know, what they're like. This happened to me before. You know, sometimes you might even forget, or you can't even be bothered, man. So many things happen, you know. James 1:19 again. Wherefore, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath. Now I've got to take that to myself first and foremost, because I always remember that we are being drilled to be judges, ultimate judges of the heathens, you know, ultimate judges. Like, you see the judges in the court, we're going to be hiding them in the power and spirit of Yahweh. Yeah, so, you know, if we're going to be judges now's the time to, you know, that's what we're doing right now. We're learning how to be judges.
Yeah, when you look at Moses, when he was judging, he was doing it all by himself. He also said, you're going to run yourself off. Jethro, his father-in-law said, you're going to run yourself down. But then check out the qualities of men that he said he set up over the people. You know, against men of good report. Yeah. Because you have to like go through it and experience things. You have to experience situations where you could blow up, but you decide not to. You know, and as we said, we all fuck up, man. Sometimes in this example, you're gonna fuck on people that you shouldn't have, or snap on people, even brothers doing it to each other and things of that nature. But men of good report, you have the experience. Like 40% of the time you fucked up, but the other 60% of the time you was right. The more you experience things, the better you can be a judge. And that's one of the importances of actually being out there in the high place. To get, like you said, to get to be in a situation where a guy's gonna pull you. You had a mission, right? Your mission was when you finished, you're coming here, right? What if you popped up on him and you got arrested? You don't turn to camp. You don't hear from a brother for 4 days. Oh shit, I just got released from jail. Because a guy asked you for a receipt. You know what I mean? So sometimes we mess up, but with the experience, you know, we will get better. That's why Aria said we're gonna be judges, right? But we have to experience how to fucking judge matters, man. You know? Yeah, I'm the judge.
We get judged. We get judged poorly in this world. We understand how poor judgment comes across this.
And that's why in the truth, sometimes it's hard to take getting cut. You know, because like you said, in the world we experience poor judgment, but in the truth, that's like most of us, our first glimpse of being judged properly. Like when you're in the wrong and you know you get got on and stuff, like that cut's so deep. You've never been cut like that in the world, in the world. You know, like you've never been cut like that. But you're like, oh shit.
And even if you was, you wouldn't take it the same way because people in the world don't have the same knowledge to cut. So who are they to really cut?
To cut precepts. Let me get this first. This is Proverbs 1:5. A wise man will hear and will increase in learning, and a man of understanding shall attain unto wise counsels. To understand the proverb and the interpretation, the word of the wise and their dark sayings. So the point is in the first couple of lines. A wise man will hear and will increase in learning, and a man of understanding shall attain unto wise counsel. That's listening, man.
That's a good point, yeah.
It's fucking listening, bro. Like, if you're just not gonna listen, you're not gonna hear anything, man.
Exactly.
Sit in your wings.
Most people are waiting for you to stop talking so they can talk.
Yeah.
Really trying to get any wisdom or any understanding of what you're saying.
That's a good point. I want to actually expound upon that a bit. You said that a lot of people are just waiting to say what they've got to say. So it's like listening is actually a very, very powerful skill, and it needs to be learned. Because if someone's talking to you, right, and your mind is just on, oh, I'm going to say this, I'm going to say that, you're not really taking in what the other person is trying to tell you. So then when it's time for you to speak, all you're doing is just talking some shit, which is irrelevant and got no context in the larger issue of the conversation. Now we see it a lot of times when guys come up to the camp, when we're trying to teach them, look, you're no longer, you're not a so-called black person or Latino or whatever. In their mind they're just thinking, oh, but I want to say this. And they're not really actually receiving the word that's actually being the word that's trying to be imparted unto them. I got you got something? I got one as well. Luke. Well, I'll bring this one first, right? This is
Listening to understand versus listening to respond is two different things.
there you go. You put it in a way which is much more succinct, but that's exactly the point I'm trying to make. Listening to understand versus listening to make my point. So this is one of my favorite scriptures, and this is one that, you know, sometimes brothers do forget this. I've seen it myself, but you know, we're not always going to be on point all the time, but this is a very important precept that brothers should always try to keep in mind. This is Surah 11 and verse 7. Blame not before thou hast examined the truth. Understand first and then review. Answer not before thou hast heard the cause, neither interrupt men in the midst of their talk. So that's how the Lord wants us to judge. Like Ariel says, in the court system, you have Judge Judy or whoever is sitting up there, and they'll just sit there and listen. And you know, there's what they call it, the plaintiff or the defendant. They'll be stating their case and going blah 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 blah, and then eventually the judge will cut them and say, well, this is that. That's it. That's how we're supposed to be as judges. Really, it's like sometimes you have to take yourself out of the equation, man. This isn't always about you all the time. There's a bigger picture, and when you can actually do that and accept that you're part of a bigger framework that needs to be, you're part of a bigger order that needs to be upheld, that's when things start to run more smoothly. Like you used the example of Moses. He sat there judging the people all by himself. That's not possible. He's going to put himself in an early grave. So in the Most High put it in the mind of Jethro to say, look man, put you over the people, reputable men, chiefs of 10, chiefs of 50, chiefs of the 100, and the most important matters they'll run up to you. You see, that's how we work in the truth, man. We get orders that come down from the brothers that are over us. There's rank and file and order. And you know what? That's one of the things I love the most about the truth, because when I was younger, as a child, I never saw that in the world. You know, like among my friends, it was a fucking dog eat dog, every man for himself. I'm gonna get mine, and whatever you've got, I want it too. But like, there was no fucking loyalty, camaraderie, friendship, integrity. These are all the qualities that me personally, I always aspire to have myself, and those are the qualities I find attractive in other people. But you know, growing up, I started to realize, shit, man. The guys I'm around, they're just fucking niggas, man. And even if they're not out there shanking people, the way they move in terms of women, like, shit, man, there's no fucking loyalty. Yeah. A girl could be dealing with this guy one day, and he's got his best friend. Next week, he's fucking her behind the bike chick. But that's supposed to be your best friend, man. That's how they'd move. And you know what? Them guys are so fucking wicked that they'd still be friends after that. And I've been thinking, hang on a minute, but that guy just stole your woman, but now all of a sudden you're cool again.
They laugh about that. I hit it this way, and I hit it that way.
Adultery it's like in the DNA of change. That's what they fucking sing about. They sing about it, they rap about it. Who else does that?
But I just could never get, I could never understand it.
Do all the things you man can't do.
Yeah.
There's a plethora, a multitude of songs.
I remember the Tupac song, what is that? Hit him up. Yeah, you fat bitch, I fucked your wife. Remember when he's cussing out Biggie Smalls? He opens up the song like, yeah, I fucked your wife. As if that's something. Look, man, that's showing you got no fucking integrity, man.
You know what it is? It goes back to a homosexual spirit. Because when you're fucking another man's woman, in the moment you're into her, like, yeah, you're thinking about him.
Right, yeah.
What turns you on is the fact that it's another man. So you're not really into the woman. You're hard because of another man. So you're gay. You're gay, man.
You're getting off with a friend.
You're hitting another man's wife. But the thing is, the most I put enough women on the world, there was no need, the things I saw in school, there was no need for that shit, man. I mean, girls would be like, and them girls are hoes anyway, man. One day they'll be sucking this guy's dick, the next week they'll be asking to suck yours. It's like,
Yeah, they wipe their mouth and say they've done
the wickedness, yeah. Such is the way of an adulterous woman, she even wipe her mouth and say if I've done no wickedness. But you see,
Yeah. For what we thinking about. So Rock 32 and 7 says, speak, young man, if there be need of thee, and yet scarcely when thou art twice asked. One more. Let thy speech be short, comprehending much in few words, be as one that knoweth, and yet holdeth his tongue. I'm going to use one example, what happened to me the other day, one quick example. Sometimes you may have seen some of them gypsy people that come up and they offer you something in order for you to.
They want something.
It's a deal offering. The other day I was so because I knew what she was doing. I just looked at her. I thought to myself, I'm not even going to say nothing. I just looked at her. I stopped and I looked at her. I didn't say, yeah, I know what's going on. I didn't even say that. And I thought to myself, if I say something, I might say something out of anger. So I said to myself, which is the Most High anyway. Most High just made my face go like a stone. Didn't say nothing, then I ended up walking away. But she got the message, man. Sometimes they say actions speak louder than words. Sometimes you don't even, as what sometimes even brothers do. Just breaking certain things down with one or two words, and people get the gist of it without elaborating on that same thing. People are not stupid, you know what I mean? People know what you're saying in sometimes no words or few words. That's simple.
No, this is what we're saying. Proverbs 29, I think. Proverbs 29 and 11 says, a fool uttereth all his mind,
yeah.
but a wise man keepeth it in till afterwards.
That's a beautiful precept. Right on point. I think there's a bit more to it. Because even a fool that keepeth his mouth may be esteemed as wise. I think he says that.
Yeah.
It might be
That's a
another
different one.
one.
Okay. But that's a good point there, because really, you might not know so much, but by keeping quiet and waiting for your time to properly speak, you can be esteemed as wise. A fool's quick to speak, a fool's quick to rush. And what do the scriptures talk a lot about the power of the tongue? You know, there's no greater part of the body that a man struggles to have rule over than his own tongue. So a man that has control over when to speak, when not to speak, what's appropriate, what's not, that's a man that's got wisdom.
Actually, if I can say, right, just to add to your point quickly, right, if you don't know nothing and you don't speak, that's actually wise, even though you don't know nothing. That's actually, in your part, you're showing that you know enough not to talk. Because you've got a lot of people that I know from back to the justice system, right, they're guilty and they go in there and what's that thing, they try and defend themselves, and then they end up digging themselves in a deeper hole. Because they're so confident. I'll use an example, Ted Bundy, right? He was so wicked, he used to kill women and stuff like that. And then he was so intelligent, he knew he was intelligent, and he wanted to represent himself and defend himself. Ted Bundy, he's up there on YouTube, and he stood in for himself as a lawyer. But he was so arrogant with it, he started to get cocky and he started pointing at the judge like that, and the judge says, "Don't you dare point your finger at me." But nobody really liked him, and because he's narcissistic, he couldn't see that. He thought to himself, I'm so clever, I'm above all of these, I'm going to be able to talk my way out of it. He ended up getting judged for it anyway, for all the women that he molested and raped. So if he was wise, he would have said, right, I'm going to bite my lip, I ain't going to say nothing, I know I'm guilty, and whatever happens, happens, but I ain't going to talk. Some people, that's what they say, I'm going to take the silence, the oath of silence. And that's wise to do that, especially when you know you've done wrong and you're guilty. So we can apply that with the wisest in the world. You apply that, I say, and even in certain situations.
The wisest of men speak less.
Yes.
Because you know when you need to speak. You don't always have to talk.
Yes.
And I'll say this as well. Coming into this truth, I remember back in the day when I come into this truth, I learned that, and I learned that nearly the hard way. Because I was telling this man and these jakes and this man, this blah blah blah. This silly little dread got all up in his feelings about something. He was talking the most amount of shit. And that's a cut in the way. You know these rastas just talk out their arsehole. He was just talking some unbelievable crap. So that's a tell him about it. He starts running outside telling everyone how he might do this, that, and the other. And I think he was going to set her up some Jake Peterson record. But it's like, I learned that day, you can't tell everyone.
Yeah.
You can't tell everyone. You've got to know when to keep your mouth shut.
Yeah, that was an important lesson for you to learn when to, what did the scripture say though? Cast not your pearls before swine. Because a lot of Jake was straight up swine, man. Like, this is the thing. Last two pieces. Alright, cool. Just make the quick point of this. Like you said earlier in the week on your video, never trust a nigga, man. Because you thought he was a Jake, but he wouldn't do that. If you underestimate, he broke the code.
These crackers don't break the code. Niggas break the code just like that.
Yeah.
Because they're so under the spell of these Edomites. He ran up there to tell the rest of the Edomites. The good thing was that I was in good stead. I'm still there working, so I'm in good stead. So them crackers don't believe none of that shit.
I'm going to put something to you, Amaran, right? I'm going to use a hypothetical. That's like being on a plantation, right? And you're like thinking, you know what, man, we should escape this plantation and get out of here. And he runs and tells Master.
That's it.
And it was on the plantation that it happened.
That's it. He probably did that.
Yeah.
He probably did that back in the day.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Master. That nigga talking about running away, Master.
Master, we got to do something about that nigga. We'll close on this one.
Proverbs 10 and 14 says, wise men lay up knowledge, but the mouth of the foolish is near destruction.
Say that again, Baba.
Wise men lay up knowledge. Proverbs 10 and 14. Wise men lay up knowledge, but the mouth of the foolish is near destruction.
That's right. There's so many good precepts in this Bible, man. It's like, it never fails. None of these words shall fail, none shall want their mate. What a book. What a book. Exactly, it's a living, this is what I'm saying, this is a living book. Just to close out on this point, because I said it earlier, Esau's books, his dictionaries, his, what do they call them, geography books, his textbooks, his encyclopedias, they always have to periodically update them. This truth, it doesn't need updating, man, it stands as it is. Stood the test of time, 1611 till now, even before 1611, because the scriptures were recorded before then, but they were just codified, as to say, or put together as the Bible at that time. These words, they stand the test of the time, and they're going to stand even further on into the kingdom. What does the scripture say? This world shall pass away, but my word shall never pass away. So as long as we stay within the realms of this word, we can't go wrong. Even if we might take L's in the eyes of the world, they're all wins in the eyes of the Lord. So that's all I've got. Should we close up?
Right. Close out. Give all the praises, honor and glory to Yahweh.
Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Ruach Kodash.
Shalom.
Strong and mighty, Lord mighty.
Master.
I couldn't believe that.
Master.
Us is never going to get a I saw maybe the same day. Lead up the whole Lord of the dump. I'm not going to lie, that